Hey, what is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to the 72nd episode of the X Button Gaming Podcast. Yes, after almost a 3-month hiatus, I am back. And that was only partially purposeful. I started trying to get stuff back on the schedule in March, and schedules just weren't working out. But here we are. We're back, and I don't know. There'll probably be regularity here again for at least a while. We'll see. Life is busy.
Yeah.
But today we got a special episode here for you. I got my frequent co-host Jimmy back. How you doing, man?
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here. It is Collector's Edition time once again, and I'm excited.
It's Collector's Edition time, and we're going to talk about a handheld that, a lot of you probably have possibly heard of. It's not just any handheld. This handheld is the handheld that was the first video game handheld to integrate touchscreen in its console form.
Yes.
And it even had internet.
Yes.
So I know what y'all are thinking. You're probably thinking, we're going to be talking about the DS.
Yes, baby.
The most well-known touchscreen but handheld video game console of all time. And that would be incorrect.
Wrong.
We are talking about the Tiger Gamecom.
Yeah, let's go, baby.
The one and only podcast to dedicate a whole episode.
I mean, if
the Tiger Gamecom.
We do love the Wii. We just love failing systems, right?
Oh, I love it when a system fails.
We're in love with the Wii U, and Tiger Gamecom, I wouldn't say we're exactly in love with that, but we're in love with some of the memories.
It definitely, surprisingly enough, we both have memories with this console, and we'll touch on that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's nothing like a failed piece of video game history. Obviously, the more well-known ones would be the Wii U, which was a commercial failure but didn't put Nintendo out of business.
No.
But then there was the Dreamcast, which was probably one of the most well-known ones, which then turned Sega into a game developing company and no longer a console maker. The Virtual Boy was a huge failure. And
Anymore?
The Gamecom was probably even more of a failure.
Something less than failure.
Yeah.
If that is even possible.
And apparently it is. Because unlike the Wii U and especially the Dreamcast, there's not a lot of people that have fond memories of this.
Or any memories at all, or awareness of it.
And then with the Virtual Boy, it's at least a nice novelty of a time long gone from Nintendo.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll get more into the actual console in a bit here. But because it is a Collector's Edition episode, you know what? Before we get into that, James, we haven't talked in a while.
Okay.
We haven't really hung out since the last time we recorded an episode together.
Was that the Switch 2?
And we did that on Zoom.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen each other in a while. So how have you been, man?
How have I been? Okay and good at the same time. There's ups and downs. We're looking for a car for Hannah. She got in a car accident, but she survived. The car did not.
This would be a real bad way to say that Hannah died.
Yeah. Oh, did I not tell you? I'm single again.
No. Single and ready to mingle.
No, we've been good. We've been good. Just really busy. Things that are new developments in my life. Randomly, I was thinking about this today. I was like, if Chris is gonna ask me what's been going on in my life, I'm gonna tell him that I am kind of into Formula One now. I don't know why exactly this happened. I was just on Netflix and I was scrolling, and every once in a while you check the top 10 list. What's the top 10 streaming shows on? And it was like number 9 or number 10, and I'd always heard that one of the big reasons that awareness and popularity of Formula One is going up is because of that show. And I already have a penchant for reality TV and sports, obviously, right? And so this is one of the few sports, if you want to call it that I'm not really into, or I wasn't at the time. I started watching it, and dude, I got hooked, man. It is compelling in lots of surprising ways. There's drama. There's genuine curiosity about the different teams, because there's, I don't know 10 or more teams in every season of Formula One, and then each team has 2 racers, and then so there's roughly 20 to 24 racers that will participate in any race at a time, and there's just all this drama. There's heroes, there's villains, there's
it's like wrestling but with cars.
It is. It's lots of bad blood, and it's just so it makes for good reality TV and just interesting I guess sport to watch for sure. I would say, if you like Mario Kart, I think there is room for you probably to like Formula One. It's just it's basically Mario Kart for adults without green shells and blue shells and.
Man, if only.
Yeah, if only. That's the next level.
Yeah,
that's gonna be
the future.
Remember when they tried XFL? They tried to make the NFL crazy and even more violent and wild.
Yeah.
That's
I was in.
That's gonna be F1, XF1.
I can't wait. That's when I'll start watching.
But
Throw
yeah,
out the lightning bolts.
I would say, dude, it's a cross between. I don't know how to speak of an F1 conversation, but I would say F1 is a cross between like Mario Kart and like pod racing. Like
Now this is pod racing.
Honestly, like it reminds me a lot of pod racing. The sound effects, like the anticipation, waiting for the lights to go out and everyone takes off at the same time, you know. And much like pod racing, very fast, very dangerous.
Oh man.
Honestly,
yeah,
I bet pod racing was inspired. Like I bet its inspiration was F1. Honestly, I don't know that for a fact.
could have been. Let's ask George.
Hey, oh yeah, well,
George
surprise!
Lucas is right here.
Here he is.
So fun. It's not a fun fact at all, but when I was in Hawaii with Jasmine and her family, so her extended family, her aunt and uncle and her cousins are all really into F1.
Oh, really?
And then I found out then that her dad and brother are also into F1, and I had no idea.
Oh, yeah.
So I watched F1 while I was down there with them.
Yeah.
And then they were just up here again. Yeah, and they're really into F1. Like they've gone to like races in person and stuff.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I've learned more about it because of this.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Like, I will say that. I don't know that I see myself sitting down to watch it on my own, but I wasn't bored.
Yeah, I don't know that it's going to take over my, the other sports obsessions in my life, or even be top 3 or top 5 or anything. But I'm definitely got my eyes on it. I'm watching it.
I've got my eye on you.
Like there was a race.
F1.
The season just started. There was a race last weekend. There's a race this weekend. I don't know where exactly, but I'll if I'm home and it's on, it's always at weird hours because literally these races happen all around the world. And so they just start at a time, I guess, that works for most time zones with viewers. I don't know.
One just in Australia or something?
Yes, there was one in Melbourne, Australia.
I just watched some of that when I was at.
Did you?
Yeah, my in-laws' house.
And you see it was like raining. It was raining a lot, and so it was like affecting a lot of the expectations of who was going to win, and cars were like sliding all over the place, crashing. Like,
good times.
It's entertaining, dude. Yeah, it's entertaining.
Like some crashing.
Yeah,
that makes it more fun. Well, now that you're into F1, you obviously have to get that F1 2013 game on Xbox 360.
I may or may not have my eye on that. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay, I guess we'll have to. Now we have to wait with bated breath until we get to the "I've got my eye on you" portion of the episode.
It's spoilers. It's not in my eye on you section, but maybe in the future it will be.
It'd be an interesting one.
I don't know. It's dude, like being into it's got me all it's giving me all kinds of ideas of how they could actually grow Mario Kart and make it more interesting. Because now that I'm watching this and seeing how it like works, like I can see how they could make Mario Kart more F1. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but there's ways they can differentiate Mario Kart from its past and make it more like F1, and it would be interesting and more sport-like in a weird way. Yeah. I don't know.
So, question: has Hannah been watching F1 with you?
No. Like
I was gonna say, is this how she got into an accident?
She's like okay with it. She doesn't seem bothered by it. Like she'll sit there on the couch and she'll be on her phone or reading or whatever, and she'll be like, the other night she's like, "So does this mean we're gonna have to go to a race sometime?" And I'm like, probably not, but maybe. Like
it's James.
It seems it seems really expensive, honestly, to go to a race like
this.
But
once he gets into this stuff, he can't help himself. He goes all in.
I know.
He didn't know anything about hockey 4 years ago. Then we got a team, and
dude, I like all the sports, man. I like all the.
I like all the sports. He sports hard.
I sport hard. There's something to like about all these sports, man. And
speaking of hockey, did you see the trailer for Happy Gilmore 2?
Dude, I did. I did.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Even Ben Stiller's back.
Like I have low expectations, but I'm like super excited to watch it.
I don't go into any Adam Sandler movie with high expectations. I'm just expecting a mindless good time. Yeah. If that's what it is, and a good sequel, though Chubbs isn't going to be in it.
Oh,
he died.
No.
But even if he died both in the movie and in our IRL.
Yeah. You know what would be great is if Bob Barker still made an appearance somehow and there was another fight, but he's still alive.
We should bring Drew Carey in.
Yeah.
keep the prices right reference going.
Yeah.
But side note, Hannah's okay.
Hannah's okay.
Okay.
Hannah's okay. And if she is feeling otherwise, then feel free to hit us up on Discord, Hannah, and tell us that I'm wrong.
Yeah. It was a good time to say wounded pride, no doubt.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Happy Gilmore. I'm kind of excited for that. We should do a watch party. Even like comedies have a bad track record with sequels. Like Dumb and Dumber, like.
Zoolander.
Did
you ever watch
Anchorman?
Because that movie was bad.
I never saw it.
It was so dumb. I watched it on a plane and I was like, I wish the plane would crash so I didn't keep watching this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a Netflix release, so like we're not. Yeah, expectations will already be low by default. I feel like.
Yeah.
Straight to stream.
Sure. I guess.
You're not gonna have to pay $20 to go to the theater.
I
to watch
guess Netflix movies aren't always that good, huh? Because
There's
they do a lot
good
of good
ones.
shows.
There's hits. There's good stuff.
Is there? Name one.
Shows?
No, movies. They do a lot of good
Movies?
shows. I said. I'm not saying there isn't.
I feel
just
like
want you
there
to name
is
one.
movies, and I'm totally gonna whiff on this. Wasn't there some like Bird Man?
Oh, yes. Birdman. Well-known Southern rapper Birdman. And
He's a basketball player too, named Birdman.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
And the two of them got together.
No, I don't know any. I know lots of shows.
Bird Box.
I don't know
any.
I don't Bird Box. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know many TV movies, but
that's all right. I can't think of a like a Netflix movie that was like that was it.
Yeah, lots of shows though.
But
Lots
yeah,
of shows.
for sure shows. Anyway, that's enough of that. So let's get into our one-ups and pickups. James, why don't you go first?
Okay, so this probably warrants a future episode on its own, but we've talked a little bit, I think, in our Wii Collector's Edition episode about revised.
Yeah, with Rob.
Yes, Rob is the one that kind of brought into my consciousness. Thank you, Rob. And also, I hate you, Rob, for making me aware of these things because it's made me a different kind of collector, I think. But revised versions of video games are...
Oh, yeah.
It's just a different way to collect physically, right? So, like, you buy a game digitally or physical, and most games, I would say, arguably all games, you can make a case for. When you plug them in, they require, like, a day one download or day one patch, day one whatever, you know? And then it'll either happen automatically in the background, or you might have it set to manual, but, like, very few games these days can you play right off the bat, even in a physical form, without an update or a patch.
You might be able to bypass the patch and play it, but there's always I get what you're saying. There's always something that needs to be downloaded to fix some kind of issue or to add in something they forgot or whatever.
Yeah. And generally it's to improve the game or like you said, fix some kind of mistake that makes it crash or makes it unplayable. And then same thing with DLC, right? When DLC gets added to a game, generally you have to download it. Obviously, it's not already there on the cartridge. So surprisingly, in the background, little do most people, I would think, know that when you buy a physical game that's released on, say, Nintendo Switch, a year, maybe 2 years after it comes out, sometimes sooner, the cartridges they manufacture, they come with these revisions, patches, downloads, even DLC already on the cart, so that when you boot up a game, you just go right into it. No download required. And it's kind of started this. I hate to say more pure, but it's created a different class of physical collecting because some people now are like, I'm not going to buy physical unless it has everything on the cartridge right there, complete on cart, so that there's no download or internet required. If for some reason everything in the world completely collapsed and the internet was gone, which is probably never going to happen, I could play these games. And it's become like a little bit of a, I would say, even a snobby form of collecting.
Sure.
But I'm into it.
Well, color me a snob. And the hard thing about it is, and we are going to have an episode about it. I've been meaning to talk to you, but me and Rob have already talked about it.
Oh, because I don't want to go too much into I'm sorry then if I
No, you're fine. And we won't go too much. But like the hard thing that I was just going to say is that they don't even announce. They're not like, oh yeah, and we're releasing, this next batch is going to have a cart revision that has all the updates on it. Nintendo doesn't say anything.
No.
And most of these other companies don't even do it.
Nope.
So it's just uncommon. But the fact that Nintendo does this and does not, as far as I'm aware, there's not even a peep out there that there's cart revisions that have all the content on the cartridge is wild.
No, it's the community keeps track of it and informs the community that's cares about it, know, and then we kind of hunt it ourselves, I won't go any deeper into it since there's more content coming. But anyways, my latest pickups are 2 revised versions. Let's start with Metroid Dread. One of my favorite games on the Switch, hands down. I love it. It's maybe you could make a case for the best 2D Metroidvania ever, I think. You can make a case for it being better than Super Metroid. You can make a case for it being better than Zero Mission or Fusion. Yeah. There are people that do believe this is the best Metroid game, hands down.
You could make that case.
You could.
But you would be wrong. No, I'm just playing.
I'm with you. I'm a kind of like a Super Metroid
just
purist.
A quick side note, I was just listening to the Generations Behind podcast, which has some people I've gotten to know over the last couple of years, and one of them, Zach, who is a listener, so he'll probably hear this, Daily Beating, he said that Super Metroid he feels is the fourth best of the 2D Metroids, and I audibly gasped while I was driving and listening to that. I said, "Oh," like a Southern woman.
You're like Yoda when the Jedis are getting massacred all over the galaxy. You're like,
No, it was a fun episode though because they did Nintendo hot takes.
Yeah, that is a hot take.
Yeah, and I don't, honestly, anybody who hasn't listened to it should listen to that episode. It's a lot of fun. But anyway, keep going.
I can see that though. Like Dread, you can make a case. I think you can make a case for it being better than Super Metroid. Like there's things about it that are better, smoother, more
I
tight.
would never argue with that.
Fusion, I think you could also make a case. Zero Mission definitely can make a case. So so that's 3 right there. So he's saying fourth best.
Yeah, I think he was saying it's only better than the 2 Metroid 2s.
Maybe not as blasphemous
or the first one
as like it sounded at first to me when you say those things out loud.
It's not a bad opinion. It really isn't.
It's just the wrong opinion.
Yeah, you're just wrong, Zach. Sorry, buddy.
Nice try. No, anyways, I love Metroid Dread a lot. This is revision 004, and they track these revisions on the back of the cartridges. You can see like the numbers and everything. This is version 2.1, complete on cart at the moment, and that's a whole other. That's the whole other tricky part about keeping track of and buying revised versions. Is will this be the last and most complete version of this game? I don't know. I just think it will be because I don't know what else they're going to add to this game.
It's been a couple of years now. Are they really going to add more content?
Yeah. But yeah, so that was one pickup. And then a second one was Pokemon Violet plus the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero. So the 2 DLCs, post-game DLCs that came out probably a year after Scarlet and Violet launched.
Yeah.
This has all of that complete on DLC. Same story as Dread. Will this be the last version? I really hope so because
they've got to be done with
I think so.
Scarlet
too.
and Violet at this point.
I guess the only reason I'm a little worried is because they're always they're changing up things. They do patches for Pokemon for like tournament purposes, competitive purposes. They rebalance things at times. Like remember the Dondozo glitch where he would use what's that move again? I can't even remember. It's a dragon type attack that
when he has Tatsugiri with him at Order Up.
Yeah, Order Up. It used to be that if you order up and even a Pokemon that used Protect and you basically missed the attack, he would still get a boost, and it was just like so broken. And so they patched that. So that would be an example of something they got patched and put into this revised version.
And it wasn't tournament legal, so anybody thinking about going and buying an old copy to try to get that, it wouldn't work.
Honestly, that probably is a reason though to have like one of the earlier versions to have some of these like busted Pokemon.
Sure, but, I mean it would be fun, but and not if you're going to use it in any kind of tournament.
Yeah, but this was a really hot ticket, like a really hot item, and it still kind of is. Like we've talked about VGP before, Video Games Plus, like Canadian video game distributor. They're kind of the ones that like. They kind of feed into these collectors and they'll say, oh, this is the version that's available right now. This is what we're selling. And then...
Yeah, they're genuinely as close to a game collector's best friend as you can get when it comes to like retailers.
MVPs, absolute clutch. I love you guys.
Yeah, because they're listening right now.
Yeah. But like this it's been better restocked. It's getting restocked more frequently. But even now it's sold out. It's a little bit of an expensive game in that you had to pay like something like I think 90 American. It was like 100.
It's the same cost as if you bought the game and the DLC separately.
Yeah, which is why I'm really hopeful that this is the last version of the game because I'm not getting another one of these.
So also, and if you mentioned this and I've already forgot, I apologize. But for those listening, there is the base version. Why this version is more important is the base version of this game that came out originally had the first of the 2 DLCs on the cartridge.
Yes.
And the second one was a download code because it came out before it had actually been released.
Yes. I mean, even on this box right here, it has a little box with the little blue icon and globe, and it says download required, see back. But there is no download required.
It is hilarious to me that they update the cartridge,
yeah,
and they do not bother updating the box.
Yeah,
that's how little effort they put into it. But then yet they put so much effort into it to even revise the cartridge.
Yep,
there has to be some reason. Like, what is the reason? There has to be some legality to it or something. Like, why do they do this?
I don't know.
It's wild. There's no reason to give us this or give people this bonus without.
It's just
I don't know.
Cutting corners, saving money, not having to reprint a bunch of like thousands, millions of boxes all over again, probably. Anyways, this is an ESRB version, even though it is technically the cart is from, it's an MSE, Middle East, Southeast Asia version of the cart. But very happy to have it.
Yep, that's a cool addition. I got it too, but mine hasn't come yet. I got Scarlet.
Yeah. Before they started restocking it, dude, this game was, you saw, it was going for like $300, $400 at times.
Ridiculous.
It's insane.
It's still a good. Well, back in the early episodes of the podcast, one of the things we talked about pretty regularly that people should keep their eye on was the Sword and Shield plus DLC.
Yeah.
And I do still think that that's going to end up becoming a very expensive. It's already over 100.
Yeah,
easy.
I still got to get the Scarlet version of this, but I'm waiting for like a true American version to see if that comes out at some point. Like, I'm happy with this one because it is complete.
And nobody knows the difference.
And no one really knows the difference other than what's on the box.
It's so much better than the 3DS and Wii U, and even I think Wii had it too, when it had those MSE releases. MSE, MSA, whatever.
Yeah.
They put the logo right on the front of the case, and it's hideous, and I hate it.
Like,
but
you can't
this
tell.
is blended into the back almost. Like it's so much more. It's not as bad.
You couldn't tell otherwise unless you look at the tiny little icon here, very subtle on the back, and you're just going to be no way to tell when you plug the game in, no way to tell from the cartridge.
Yep.
So yeah, it's happy with that, and one more to add to the Pokemon collection.
Hey, let's go. Are you going for a complete collection of Pokemon games?
I mean, it's always like something that I'm slowly working towards. It's not like an active, urgent quest. It's a lot like GameCube games or something.
Yeah, it's an expensive quest for sure.
Yeah.
All right, you have more to talk about still?
I have one more pickup.
Okay, just want to make sure if I break this up. Okay, so I'll break this up into two stacks, I guess.
Okay.
So this first one, I just wanted to talk about it again because I was excited about it, but it isn't the most. And that's not what I meant to say. But I already talked about it in the recent pickups video I did for my YouTube channel. But that is that I recently, a couple months ago now, picked up a complete in-box copy of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team for the Game Boy Advance.
That's awesome.
It is complete in box, and it's in pretty good shape. It's got a crease on the top and a crease on the right side of the box. But the rest of it is near perfect, I'd say. Looks
clean, dude.
Very clean. It was a really good price, about half off what it goes for, and it was a late night eBay snag.
Oh, this looks really good, man. This would live up to my standards. I'd be totally fine with this as my CIB version. I love it.
Yeah, no, I was really happy with that, and it kind of made me think about trying to get the rest of the offshoot Pokemon games, because I have most of the most expensive ones already. Because I have XD Gale of Darkness and I have Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky, which are probably the next two.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both more expensive than this one. So anyway, I was happy to get that. I just wanted to talk about it again.
This looks beautiful.
And then just a couple of other random pickups for this stack. The next pile is a little bigger. But I went to Value Village the other day and I got a random 360 game. It's not really that random, but I picked up Cameo Elements of Power. This was a 360 launch title.
Nice.
Man, there goes the
there goes.
Gotta love it. I don't know why it wasn't in there, right? But it's the PlayStation Platinum Hits version, which is not my favorite, but I bought this for two reasons. One, up until I just dropped it, this disc was in pristine condition. This case is like brand new. It still has the security seal on the outside.
Yeah.
Like there's still even some like cellophane on it. Like it's just weird how I don't think this was ever actually touched.
Yeah.
And this was one of the games I always was interested in because it was a rare game. Not rare as in you can't find it, but rareware, you know, the makers of Banjo-Kazooie and all that. And just because I don't actually have any with the sticker, it has the Microsoft company store purchase on the cover. I don't love these stickers, but this is a cheap game. Like even this was only $5 and it's not an expensive game anyway. So it's not, I don't know. It's just kind of a cool piece that, you know, when I remember these would get traded in all the time at GameStop.
With the sticker on them?
With the stickers on it. Because employees would get games for free or for cheap and they traded into us for store credit and get stuff they wanted. And I see it pop up on Reddit sometimes, people in completely different states that didn't see them all the time like we did.
And so they see them and they're like, ooh, that's kind of
like,
cool.
what does this mean? Like, what is this? And then, like, it was common around here because we don't live that far from Microsoft.
If nothing else, it proves the authenticity of the item.
Yeah, it's official.
You're not going to fake that sticker, I don't think.
Yeah, no, not at all. So, yeah, I don't know. Not a bad pickup. $5. I'm not going to complain.
That's cool.
So then just two others in this. I picked up a copy of a game I've always wanted to play, and I never at any point owned. And it was in pretty good shape. The disc is like 6 out of 10, but it's complete. I was in Eastern Washington for work. And I stopped by a GameStop because I'm always going to, any game stores in the area, I'll always stop by if I have the time. And they had a copy of Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith for PS2. It was only $7. So
nice.
I don't even know how much this game goes for. I can't imagine it's a lot, but it felt like a good deal. That's in that range where I don't care if I want it and I want to play it. And the reason I've always wanted to play this game is because it has an alternate ending that obviously is not canon. But if you play as Anakin, I think, and you beat Obi-Wan, it has a completely different ending for how Episode 3 could have ended.
Oh.
and I think that's cool. And for May the 4th, which, by the way, I meant to talk to you about this too, but for May the 4th, I want to do a favorite Star Wars games episode this year. Ooh. And this is one that I've wanted to play to see if, I don't know if it would end up being up that high, but I still wanted to play it before that episode came out.
Got to keep that May the 4th Star Wars streak episode going on.
Yeah, why not? I mean, as long as I can come up with things to talk about. And then lastly, 2 weeks ago, so March 6th or 7th, the Suikoden 1 and 2 HD remaster came out, which I was extremely excited about.
Nice video, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, that video actually did surprisingly well. I'm always surprised when anything I put out gets more than 100 views. But yeah, I popped this in. I was playing Star Wars Dark Forces, and I finished that, and I picked this up that day, and I immediately started playing it. And okay, so I don't need to go into this too much because I did just put a video about how much I love love these games. But I replayed them. I played them both. And fun fact, I don't know why I say fun fact, but
it's a fact and it's fun to me.
I was trying to get thank you. I was trying to get the platinum trophy, and I managed to beat both games, get the trophy, and do it all to be and I was in the top 50 people, the first 50 people to do it, which means my name or my username is immortalized on the PlayStation trophies website. So if you look at the platinum trophies for the Suikoden HD Remaster Collection, I'm number 31. I was the 31st person to get the platinum.
Ooh.
I was proud of that because it was a
quick, sweet, dude.
It was a grind, and I played, and I did not sleep much because I was determined to be in the top 50 people.
I didn't know they keep track of that sequence of who platinums first.
Yeah, well, Sony doesn't, but there's a third-party website that they that most of the hardcore trophy hunters like have their accounts linked to. Then yeah, you can keep track of who the first 50 people to get a trophy were, and the most recent 50 people, and some other stuff too. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, I've wanted to be in that list, but it's pretty hard to do it. But because I know these games so well, it was a little easier for me to beat them quick enough to do it. But that being said, these games are fantastic. They hold up so well. I love these games, and I haven't played them through in probably 15 years. And I was so glad as I was playing them that I was just as into it as I remember being before. Everything about these, if you're an RPG fan, these games are worth playing. And if you were to buy these games on their original hardware on PlayStation 1, you would be paying over $300 to get them. Like, this is a $50 disc. Yep. When they did some updates and everything, it's not the most impressive remaster I've ever played, but they did do some portrait updates, some graphical updates here and there. But overall, like, these are two fantastic RPGs, and Suikoden 2 is easily one of the best RPGs of all time. Like, hands down, it is worth playing. So this is the last time I will plead with everybody.
It won't be the last time, and it shouldn't be the last time.
This is the last time right now that I will plead with everybody that if you like RPGs and you haven't bought this yet, I am not sponsored. I'm getting no money from them. I just really want them to remaster the other games and continue the series.
Who develops Suikoden?
Konami.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just such good games. The first one is a much simpler RPG. I mean, it was almost the launch title for the PS1, so it's an older game. The second one, though, but it's still good. Still a good story. They still did things that no other RPG had done at the time. And then the second one is just, the story is phenomenal. Yeah. So,
well, I mean,
anyway, that's my speech.
It's a fitting addition to, I think, Collector's Edition, because this is anecdotal, and it was just part of my growing up in video game experiences. But I remember you talking about Suikoden growing up, and you saying how much it costs, like when you worked at GameStop, etc. And that was honestly I think that was the first time I was ever really made aware that like video games can be worth that much money. You know, like, because growing up playing video games, buying video games, going to GameStop, trading in games, which we have lots of regrets over the course of time doing things like that. But like, you didn't really consider video games as collector's items at all.
No, they were. I think I talked about that a little bit in the video too. Our parents treated them like throwaways.
Oh yeah,
like they throw the box and everything away.
Instructions garbo.
Yeah, and then the second you're done with the game, you trade it in to get another one. There was no value placed to it.
Because your parents would only buy you so many video games, so a lot of times the way you got more video games is to trade in all the games they bought for you, which is tragic. In hindsight, but I mean that's how we played other games, so there's that bright side of it. But yeah, Suikoden, I think for me personally was the first time that I was aware that games could be collectible and worth like outrageous amounts of money at times.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it was the game that showed me that games had value. Like I'd already had Earthbound at that point and had no idea that it was worth over $100. Like,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So like that was the first time where I was like, I can't imagine spending that much money on a game.
Yeah.
But I wanted the second game so bad, but now it's available to everybody for way cheaper. And there's no reason not to play this version.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you want to be a purist and play it on PS1, then I don't care. Buy that version. I just want people to play it. But this, generally speaking, for 50, I don't even care if you emulate it. Like I want people to play these games, but I do hope people support this.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I just want to see more for the series.
Yeah.
It's a very underappreciated RPG series in general for being as good as it is. And I am biased, but I do believe that when I say this, it is not coming from a place of bias. It is coming from a place of I've played a ton of RPGs. This is my favorite RPG series. And I feel like that's saying a lot. And they're all good, but 2 is probably the best. I mean, it is the best. Whether it's my favorite or not.
The way you feel about Suikoden is the way that I'm starting to feel about Xenoblade, as you can tell from my comments and my pleas on Discord.
Yeah, when you said, what did you say the other day?
What will it take to get people? How many nearly perfect games does this team have to make for you before you start taking the series seriously? Or something
and hear
like that?
me, I was like, who's not taking it seriously? Apparently, half the Discord isn't taking it seriously,
and probably a lot more.
Yeah. I just didn't think people. I mean, whether or not people played it, I assume they still were taking it seriously as a series.
And I haven't played a lot. I haven't played nowhere near the amount of RPGs you've played. But like again, every once in a while, a series pops up, sometimes unexpectedly, and it's just that good, and it catches you off guard. And that's how you feel about Suikoden. That's just how I feel about Xenoblade right now. And and I will be picking up Suikoden, by the way.
I hope so.
It's on Switch, so
I don't think I've preached hard enough. It's on Switch. It's on PS5. It's digital on PS4. It's on Xbox physically. Like that never happens.
I'm gonna pick it up, and it doesn't seem like a game that would have many revisions or changes after the fact. So I'll probably get it sooner rather than later, I would think. I don't know if it'll get many patches. I doubt it.
I don't know. I'm gonna buy it again on Switch. I am waiting for that one to see if it gets any kind of revisions. Yeah. But I plan on fully supporting it. I'm gonna buy it on Xbox too once it gets cheap enough, just so I can have it on all 3.
Get the whole collection.
But yeah, so that's my first stack. But yeah, one last time, if you like RPGs and you haven't played it, pick up the Suikoden collection. Thank you very much. Go ahead, James.
All right, so my last pickup is none other than the Pokemon, and I didn't mean for this episode to be so Pokemon heavy. You'll see there's more coming up in Power Hour, but so I apologize for that. But
he doesn't mean to be this way. He just is.
We're pro Pokemon here, me especially, and my last pickup is Pokemon.
You ever want to rile James up? Say something negative about Pokemon.
Hey, I will acknowledge the bad things about it too. I just will defend what I can defend. And what I can defend is my last pickup. Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald 4 LP box set.
Dang, that thing is beautiful.
Okay, so you're just looking at the box, right?
Yeah.
Now, wait till I show you the inner...
the innards.
The innards. All right, so I got 4 LPs here. Now, you tell me if you recognize the art that's on the outside of these jackets. Let's start with side A. You recognize that a little bit? See the patterns on the jacket at all?
Yeah.
And if you don't, do you recognize the pattern on the inside sleeve?
Yeah, Regirock.
Regirock. I'm pretty sure this is Groudon themed, but it's like
that makes sense.
The art is like so. It's like electric. It is dynamic. It is holographic. It is.
I like that. It's like bang. It's very in your face in a good way, but it's also subtly Pokemon, which isn't I'm not saying it would be bad if it wasn't subtly Pokemon, but it's like not in your face Pokemon.
Yep.
That's definitely Kyogre.
You see Kyogre immediately, right? And then on the inside,
Regice.
Regice, yeah.
That's cool.
That's really cool. I'm just gonna do this a couple more times and see if you can get them. Name that Pokemon.
It's obviously Rayquaza or whatever.
Yeah, Rayquaza and then
Durasteel.
Yeah. This one though,
I'm so good at this.
You're getting you're nailing it. Okay, so this one, I'm not. I think it's
Is it Arceus?
No, I think it's
no,
Deoxys.
Arceus was 4. Yeah, Deoxys.
The coloring's a little weird to
Yeah.
me, but like I think it's Deoxys, and then on the inside, I don't know. Maybe Arceus? I'm not sure what this is. There's like ribbons or something. I'm not sure exactly what this is, honestly.
They were in...
I'm going to feel stupid once I figure out what this is exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it the... what are the Mesprit and those? Those were in 4, weren't they?
Those would have been... Yeah, those were Gen 4.
Yeah. I don't know what that is.
Mesprit, and whatever the other one was. Anyways, this box set includes HD recreations of all 124 songs present in the original games, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. And the reason I brought this one especially, other than it being like drop dead gorgeous and really cool, is that this is a licensed item. It's on, I think, manawave.co or something like that.
Oh, really?
This was a licensed vinyl. Yeah. It was produced by Jammin' Sam Miller. Are you familiar with that guy's name at all?
So he's only because of you guys, but yeah. I'm familiar with it.
He basically recreates to the very finest details, what is otherwise licensed music that can't be recreated. And,
Gotcha.
and that way it is original and, legal to sell.
Yeah.
So this is currently sold out right now. And I did get like the LE splattered disc version. There are 2 different versions of it. I think it was 110, 115, 120 bucks, something like that.
Doesn't seem too bad for that big of a vinyl set.
Yeah, for a box set, that's a pretty good deal, actually.
Yeah.
So a reason I wanted to bring it up on this episode is because if this is something you're interested in, getting the music, which is very, very high quality and painstakingly made, this is obtainable. Whereas some of the bootleg stuff is a lot harder to get a hold of, and there honestly isn't a lot of licensed Pokemon vinyl stuff. So this is another reason why it's really cool.
Yeah. Licensed vinyl in general from Nintendo is few and far between. We talked about that before.
Well, I do wonder if that'll change in the future though, because of their support of that app. Like their willingness to kind of get their music out more. I wonder.
Yeah, maybe the usage of that will show them that people care.
Yeah,
and yeah.
But anyways, I'm going to read the one of the captions here on the website, on the posting itself. It says, Jammin' Sam Miller has worked painstakingly over the course of months, sourcing and recreating the lush trumpet-heavy sounds of the world of Hoenn in a modern uncompressed state. These covers were recreated from the original hex data by Sam, researching and tracking down the original sample patches and hardware available at the time, and translating them to a modern studio environment unhindered by both the compression to fit samples on the GBA cartridge and that of the GBA speakers themselves. So that is some of the issues you have when you're trying to bring music from back then on that format to a modern audio device. It's all compressed and it all kind of sounds, maybe not bad, but it sounds like it was on a Game Boy,
Yeah.
So to have something like this and access to it and all the tracks from Gen 3, really cool.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
And I'm pretty stoked to get that.
Have you gotten a bunch of new video game vinyl recently?
I've honestly I've slowed down for sure because it gets really expensive, and just I feel like I'm content right now with a lot of the soundtracks I've acquired. I will bring in some more on the next collector's edition to share. This was sitting right next to my record player, and I was like, I'll just bring the box because
that's easy.
Yeah, well, and it's just because this is something
it's really pretty. Yeah.
It's really pretty.
To us, not a video podcast.
It has mass appeal because it's Pokemon, and it is something that literally everyone that's listening right now, if you're there for the restock, you can get it.
Yeah,
so,
and it's on Spawnwave, you said?
Manawaves.co.
Manawave.
I'll find the website and I'll post it in the Discord or something. But I highly recommended. Sounds gorgeous. Me likey. I'm going to grab the Dr. Pepper that I put in the freezer.
All right, go ahead. I'll start getting ready to go over my next stack of games here. I'll do this one last. So I've probably said this on the podcast before, but I've definitely said it on the on my YouTube channel. But I am kind of working towards a complete Vita set. And this is a twofold. One, I love the Vita. I'm a big fan of playing it. I'm a big fan of the form factor of it. I like that I can get trophies on the go when I play my Vita. And overall, I've just really enjoyed that console. Two, I think it's pretty cool. I think the cases for these games are awesome. So
they are.
It makes it kind of a fun collectible. I don't know why I'm numbering these. There's no reason for me to number these. I also think that there's just a lot of really unique games on the console, even if there's a lot of crossover in the fact that there's a lot of RPGs, but there's also a lot of visual novels and other types of games that I might not play as often. But anyway, I just love the console, and I find it fun to collect for.
Yeah.
And it's fun to try to find things in the wild and find good deals. And overall, the games aren't crazy expensive right now.
Yeah.
They were really high right after COVID, like everything else, but they've come down a lot. And there's not that many games that are in that high price range. But anyway, I did a couple Mercari pickups, local video game store pickup, and then a GameStop pickup. So on Mercari, I got... these weren't all in the same lot, but a couple of different lots. But I picked up the Sly Cooper collection. This is one I've never played Sly Cooper. I've always wanted to, and I'm excited to finally get to these. So it has the first 2 games on it, and then a voucher for the digital download of the third one, which is unfortunate because I'm sure that's been used. And then I picked up the Metal Gear Solid HD collection, which I'm excited to play through these because I've played Metal Gear Solid 1 in the past, and I've played Metal Gear Solid 2, but I've never played 3 or any other in the series. So I'm excited to replay 2 and then play 3 for the first time, and then probably play the remake when that comes out next year. And these ones are ones I don't know too much about, but I got these 3 in one bundle for a really good deal. This one's called Collar X Malice.
Nice.
It's a visual novel, and I got Code Realize, Guardian of Rebirth, which is also a visual novel.
Nice.
I will be doing lots of visual reading. And then Danganronpa 2, Goodbye Despair, which is also a visual novel. But this series, I started playing the first one recently, and I'm really enjoying it. It's definitely got a bit of a dark tone to it. But this series is like crazy beloved. And I hear the third game is fantastic. So now I have the first 2, and I just need to get the third one.
Yeah.
I also picked up The Wolf Among Us, which was based off of the DC/Vertigo comic series, Fables. And this was done by Telltale Games, most well-known for the Walking Dead games.
Yeah.
It's like a point-and-click adventure game, kind of, but with a much more modern take. So this was cheap. I got it at a local store. I always look for things that are less than going rate, which you can't always find at like local video game stores, but I like to give them money where I can over buying it online.
What's the size of the library on the Vita? You probably said this before, but
yeah, it's but I believe it's 200 games in the North American retail set.
Oh, okay.
So that's 200 games that were basically sold in store or sold officially at some level of store, whether it be a retail store or a website. And then limited run, which these are also officially licensed, but these were not retail releases.
Sure.
Limited run has another 101 games.
For the PS Vita? Really?
For the Vita, yeah.
Dang.
So I don't plan on going for the limited run set.
I don't think I would either.
I just want to go for the North American retail set.
Yeah.
But I do probably want... There are some limited run games that I want to get. Like I want to get SteamWorld Dig, and a handful of others. But a cool piece of history, and I've heard this talked about other places too. Like I know Bird Dog mentioned it in one of his episodes of something. But so Limited Run's first physical release they did was a Vita game.
Oh.
And it was... because they also have like an in-house publishing unit, and they'd made a couple of games, and they were like, well, we want to produce it physically. And that was, anyway, their first game, the first limited run game that you could get was Breach and Clear on the Vita. So it's kind of cool. It's like not only is it a Vita game, but it's also the first limited run game.
Do you have it?
I don't have it, no. But it's a cool piece of history, so I do want to get that.
Is it pretty sought after, or is it like... Is it printed
there's only like 1,000 copies of it, so it's not super cheap, but I think it would be cool to own. But yeah, I don't plan on going. Like I said, I don't plan on going for the full limited run set.
Yeah,
though who knows? I might change my mind. And then lastly, GameStop pickups. One more Vita game. I got X-Blaze Code Embryo. I don't know what that means. But this is apparently a RPG spin-off of the BlazBlue series, which is a fighting game series. But yeah, this was only $10 at GameStop, and it was complete. It even had the little like flyer inside that they put in there. Yeah, if I find a game for $10 for the Vita, I'm probably gonna buy it.
Yeah.
And then lastly, at that same GameStop, I didn't intend to buy this or like find this or pay this much for it. But I picked up The Legend of Heroes: Trials of Cold Steel 2.
Nice.
But it's the Steelbook edition.
In steel.
Yeah, in steel.
Like it.
And it's a really nice Steelbook.
Ooh,
and
gorgeous.
So there's a couple of things here. One, This is, like I said, this is the second game, and I haven't played these yet, but I have the first one on Vita, and I plan on playing it there this year. But this Steelbook is like $100 plus Steelbook. And if GameStop had it priced correctly, I think they sell it for like $70. But for whatever reason, they had this game listed as the first game. So it was only $40. And then I went up there and I was like, well, I'm going to buy it because I can't help myself. And yeah, it was complete. It has it's complete as it can be. I don't know what other stuff this may have came with, but it has the manual, the inserts, and the disc, obviously. But yeah, and I had like a bunch of points too, so I ended up getting like plus my monthly coupon, so I ended up getting it for like $25.
Sweet.
So yeah, for $100 Steelbook, like I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah.
For a game that I didn't have that I wanted to play anyway, and it is just such a nice Steelbook. But I still need to find the first Steelbook as well.
Yeah, I really like the backside of that especially.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
It's just really cool.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to playing these games. I've been a little nervous just because I know that they're very lengthy.
Another JRPG gauntlet to go through.
It is, and there's 4 just in the Legend of Cold Steel series, and then there's all kinds of other series like branch offs in this series. So I know once I start, like I'm gonna want to keep playing a bunch of them.
Yeah.
So I've been nervous to start, but I want to play the first one this year.
Yeah.
And that is
cool.
it for me.
Oh, wow.
Up to 55 games on my Vita collection. So
55 of 200. That's not bad.
Quarter of the way done,
That's
right?
not bad.
Math.
That's not bad.
All right, James, you have any more? Or was that it?
Dude, that's all I got.
Okay.
I could have brought a couple more things, but I just couldn't find them on time. So, but
that's fine.
There's always more collector's editions.
Well, I'm sure we'll have more now that we're getting back into the swing. Okay, so that's it for one-ups and pickups. So next, I think you were right, James. I think next is supposed to be everybody's favorite hour.
Oh.
And that is...
Oh. I never get tired of that sound bit, man. It's beautiful.
Jaden's a genius.
Love you, Jade. All right, so Power Hour is appropriate. It is a little bit of a one-up and a pickup, right? Because I pick up these Nintendo Power issues and I share them with you. So to me, I'm adding to a collection and also adding to your knowledge of the past.
He's not talking to me. He's talking to you, listener.
And you. So what I got this time is, what do I got here? Nintendo Power, Volume 178. April 2004, the cover game was Pokemon Coliseum. A very expensive game all on its own, and quite a collector's item if you wanted to grab... What is it today if you want to grab that CIB?
I don't know, probably over 150 still.
Yeah. And then Gale of Darkness would be even more, 200 or something.
They're both expensive now.
Yeah.
And it's sad because they're not rare. But no, what Pokemon game is.
Yeah,
so.
It's just Pokemon. The power of Pokemon. So... what I wanted to start with was page 16. Just a little bit of a blurb here in the section of the magazine called Game Watch, the inside source for Nintendo news and previews. So,
heck yeah.
Like I said, this issue was April 2004. We would have been well into the GameCube / Game Boy Advanced era of Nintendo, at least.
Going strong.
So it says this first featured
strong.
gaming news point. The gaming news for April 2004. Nintendo announces... new handheld.
Uh-oh.
What's the next big thing from Nintendo? If you guessed a new portable game system featuring 2 3-inch TFT LCD backlit screens with separate processors and semiconductor memory of up to 1 gigabit, give yourself a pat on the back.
I did it. That is exactly what I said.
That's what I thought. The system, codenamed Nintendo DS, the DS stands for Double Screen, which, by the way, I forget that all the time, and it's kind of shameful.
That it stands for double screen?
That it stands for Double Screen.
You're
is
so
an
stupid.
entirely new platform, not the next generation Game Boy Advance or Nintendo GameCube. We have developed Nintendo DS based upon a completely different concept from existing game devices in order to provide players with a unique entertainment experience for the 21st century, explains Satoru Iwata,
R.I.P.,
Nintendo's president. The dual screens will allow players to view alternate game world perspectives or access inventories without stopping play. Even more unique features and gaming applications will be revealed at this May's E3, also RIP, where Nintendo will unveil the radical new DS. It's scheduled to be released worldwide this year. So this is right at the tail end of Game Boy Advanced. I highly doubt that the first news anybody got of the DS as a existence was in a Nintendo Power issue. It must have been
something.
It was soon. It was recent, but yeah, this was. It seems like the first mention of it in a Nintendo Power issue was the DS, and it does it is interesting to parallel that with the year we're in right now, 2025, because we have a new console coming that was announced in February. Is that what was it? February or was it January when they announced it? January. We covered that in the episode. So this was roughly announced in March or April of 2004, and I should have looked it up. I don't know when the DS came out that year, October or September?
Yeah, October or November.
Something like that.
It was towards the end of the year.
Yeah, so
it was a crisp fall morning.
So how many months is that? From, let's say, March or April to October? May, June, July, August? 5-6 months?
Yeah, sounds right.
So, I mean, historically speaking, if we were to say it got announced, revealed, you could say, the Nintendo Switch 2 in January, 5 or 6 months would put it on track for May or June.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. November 21st. 2004.
November 21st. Okay, so maybe even later. So by that, if it was November, you could be saying maybe even July or August potentially.
Yeah.
If you're tracking or expecting that Nintendo cares at all about matching history when they release new consoles. But I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Just seeing the first mention of Nintendo DS on Nintendo Power.
Well, we are only 2 weeks away from the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct.
Yes.
So who knows? That at that point,
yes,
we might know when this is coming out.
They better have a reveal date or a release date by then.
I assume that we'll be mad.
Can you
rushing
imagine
to
just
pre-order
another
that.
tease, like a direct with just more teases?
Nintendo, you're such a tease.
Coming 2026.
Son of a gun.
All right, so page 28. This is just the cover article, Pokemon Coliseum. I'm going to skip this for the most part because there's actually an interview at the end by the development team that developed it that I kind of want to review a little bit. So I'm going to skip that. I'm going to go to page 50 because we always want to share the poster with everyone because everyone can see this right now. This is totally on video.
You all tell us what you think.
We got 007, Everything or Nothing.
Heck yeah, that had Shannon Elizabeth in it.
Is that who that
That's
is?
who that is on the left.
Oh,
yeah.
I just saw Pierce Brosnan plus 2 Bond girls. So we are well past the point of in this video game era of Bond video games being excellent or good.
Now hold on.
I you got a different take here.
I haven't played these games.
Okay.
But I have always heard that Nightfire and Everything or Nothing are really good games.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just being judgmental then.
You are.
I'm just assuming
because I've heard Agent Under Fire, which was the first next gen game at that point. PS2, GameCube.
Agent Under Fire?
Yeah.
Was that before Everything or
Nothing?
That
was before those two. I've heard that one was bad, but I've always heard Nightfire and Everything or Nothing were really good.
Would that be on GameCube?
Yeah. They're all on, or those three are on GameCube.
All right then. You know what? I'm gonna shut my mouth. I'm gonna
just
put it
saying. I haven't played it, but I've heard that.
I'm just gonna do a very early. I've got my eye on you, 007, Everything or Nothing. I'm gonna keep my eye on that for.
And he's gonna prove us right or wrong.
I'll see if you guys are right. I'll test that theory. There's a couple of games that were featured here. For example, Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life. I don't know if you were much of a fan of that Harvest Moon entry.
That wasn't my favorite, but it is a fan favorite.
Yeah.
It was when Harvest Moon was still good.
Page 86 and 87. At this point in Nintendo Power's history, they had a either bi-monthly or even monthly feature that just kind of talked about the Pokemon news of the month. Mm-hmm. This was called Poke Center.
Oh, look at those Pokemon cards.
Yeah, I was going to say. So they were talking about the release of this new set of the TCG, Pokemon EX, Team Magma versus Team Aqua. So obviously...
Are these still the e-reader cards?
I think are these e-reader cards? No, these were not e-reader cards. Doesn't look like. No, doesn't look like it to me.
I can't see from here. It looks like it is to me. It has the big.
Do you see e-reader lines on there? I don't know.
Oh no, it doesn't.
Okay, but fitting, right? Because Gen 3 has been a little bit of a subject because we had the pickup. But I just wanted to ask you just a quick quiz. So a sealed booster from this set, Chris. Pokemon EX, Team Magma versus Team Aqua. What do you think a sealed booster pack from this expansion of the TCG goes for today?
Now?
Yeah, a single sealed booster pack.
Oh, I don't know, $1,500.
That's way too high. But $400 is still a lot for a single booster pack.
Dude, some of these booster packs go for crazy amounts of money. Do you ever watch that guy on TikTok? The should I open it or should I keep it sealed? Have you seen that guy?
I haven't, but I want to now.
Okay, that's what he does. He's obviously got a ton of money because he buys booster packs from all sets and stuff.
Yeah.
Some of them go for just outrageous amounts of money for just a booster pack.
Yeah.
And it's you're gambling because they're trying to get the chase card. They're hoping they get it, but you could get that booster pack could be worth less than $5 still. Just because they're old cards doesn't mean they're expensive.
Yeah, he'd be better off just selling it because it retains all its value when it's sealed.
Yeah, except for he's the person that bought it.
Yeah.
So
Fair enough. Yeah. So
I'm sure he makes a lot of money from that TikTok.
Basically, if you bought anything Pokemon related in this day and saved it, you're probably pretty happy you did. Whether it's cards or games or anything. Honestly.
I doubt he listens to this podcast, but you remember Jerry Chung, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Remember he bought a bunch of first edition booster packs or booster boxes of the base set and then Jungle too.
Oh,
because he wanted to hang on to them, because he could tell Jerry's always been good with that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think he hung on to them though. I think he sold them long after because they started to depreciate.
Dang.
But man, if he'd held on to them, bro would be.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I feel like they're probably doing pretty okay,
but
he'd be like rich.
He'd be like the 30th richest person in the U.S. right now.
Yeah.
Anyways, next page, Poke Center. I thought this was pretty interesting. So, berries forever. Were you familiar with the berry glitch in Gen 3? Maybe you are. Maybe you aren't.
I don't think so.
If you've been playing Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire for 1 year, you may see a minor issue with the PAX berry program that could affect small areas in the game, such as growing certain berries. So basically, berries and their growth in Gen 3 of Pokemon were like on a calendar. And if you had the game for over a year, 366 days after you launched it, if you planted berries, they just wouldn't grow anymore. And you had no way to plant berries ever again.
Yeah. I remember that being an issue because when I started to do my ribbon journey, it was an issue. I had to bring berries with me from other games to try to have enough of what I needed.
Which is ridiculous. Which they apparently had patches, like they had events. Like right here, it says, we recommend that you update your berry program in one of 3 convenient ways, which none are really convenient, I'm sure. You can download Jirachi from the Pokemon Coliseum bonus disc, which you probably had to pre-order and buy to do that, or use one of the connected features.
I had that.
When you link Pokemon Ruby or Pokemon Sapphire to Pokemon Coliseum. So either of these methods require buying a brand new game to keep your Game Boy game current, working properly. Or in early March, you can visit participating EB Games and GameStop locations to get the free berry program. I just love how all the verbiage and words they use in here, they try to spin it so positively. Like there's a slight issue with your Pokemon game that makes it so you can't have berries anymore.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, all you have to do is buy this $60 game or whatever. I don't know how much a GameCube game cost at the time,
60,
but
yeah,
60
or maybe 50.
All you have to do is go to a physical location to update your.
Side question: did you never have the Jirachi bonus disc?
I never did.
Because it was you didn't have Coliseum.
I never had Coliseum at the time.
Yeah, I had it because it was a pre-order bonus.
Yeah.
You got it, and then it had like some demo stuff on it, and you could transfer Jirachi to your game from that disc. Yeah, I sold that too.
I wish I got that right off the bat.
That disc isn't as expensive as other stuff. But then there's the variant, the Coliseum variant, that comes with the bonus disc inside the case. It's a 2-disc
and
case,
that's more than 150
and that is
CIB.
That is much more than 150 CIB.
I've got my eyes on you, ridiculously priced Pokemon Coliseum game.
Heck yeah, I do.
Okay, so, and then finally, page 90 and 91, and a couple pages after, 2003 Nintendo Power Awards nominations. So they nominated all the games. Scooby-Doo! I love these kind of dumb articles where they try to award games. But this was not. This was like a check the box. You could, the internet was new and exciting, and we use it now. Yes. Everybody uses
now
the
we
internet.
just use it to insult everybody.
Yeah, it'd bring people down. So this was kind of like here are the nominees for Game of the Year GameCube. I'm gonna list these off, Chris. What would you vote for 2003 GameCube Games of the Year?
2003,
Game of the Year.
God.
Yeah, here we go. Beyond Good and Evil.
Okay.
F-Zero GX.
Okay.
Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker.
Okay. Yeah.
Mario Kart Double Dash. Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. Soul Calibur 2.
It's a big list.
Star Wars Rogue Squadron 3 Rebel Strike.
No.
Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2004. Beautiful Joe.
Okay.
There's some pretty good games in there.
Yeah, Wind Waker won though, right?
I don't honestly.
This isn't the winning.
This was like a mail-in or like an internet.
Oh, gotcha.
So like they're having you vote on.
That is a good list.
That's
that
a really
also
good
has
list.
Tiger Woods on it.
Yeah. Tiger Woods games weren't
Maybe
bad.
that year it was like top tier though. I don't know. When was the last time a sports game has been nominated for Game of the Year anywhere?
Like this was Nintendo only games, right? Games that were only available on the GameCube.
Sure.
So they probably just threw in.
They probably didn't need to have 9 games on their Game of the Year.
They probably wanted
list.
Every genre represented or something on this list. I don't know.
I guess. Good job, Nintendo.
So what would you have voted on this list as your Game of the Year 2003 for GameCube?
Probably Wind Waker.
Yeah, me too.
But I mean,
choice.
Double Dash is a good. I've chosen wisely.
You've chosen wisely.
You know what game I've always wanted to play though, and I still never have, is Beyond Good and Evil. I've always wanted to play that. I hear it's fantastic. I know it just got a limited run re-release, but I still have not ever played it.
Yeah, I might have chosen Double Dash too. Beautiful Joe. I don't know.
I love F-Zero.
Wind Waker would have won for sure. Okay, so and then there was the Game Boy Advance Game of the Year 2003. Listen to this list.
2003. So Golden Sun Lost Age is on there.
Yes, there is. Any other? Do you know any others?
2003. Let's rack the brain. Superstar Saga.
Yes, sir. Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. It's on there too. You're doing well here. You've got 2 of the 9.
Advance Wars 2.
Yeah.
Now
No.
I'm guessing. Anything else now I say is guessing. Those two
Castlevania Aria of Sorrow.
Okay.
Final Fantasy Tactics Advance.
Ooh.
Fire Emblem. Like you said, Golden Sun Lost Age. Harvest Moon, Friends of Mineral Town.
Such a good Harvest Moon.
Superstar Saga, like you said. Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. We've said this before. The Pokemon game that I kind of lost me a little bit on Pokemon. Sword of Mana. WarioWare Inc. Mega Micro Game. So what would you have picked in this? I know what I would have picked.
Golden Sun.
You would have picked Golden Sun Lost Age?
Yeah.
I honestly think I would have picked Final Fantasy Tactics Advance.
Tactics would be a close one though.
I think I would have picked Tactics.
But I have a strong fondness for Golden Sun 1 and 2. But Tactics is fantastic.
But this is a really strong year because I think a lot of people would have chosen Aria of Sorrow. I think a lot of people would have chosen
Pokemon, obviously too.
A lot of people would have chosen Pokemon. A lot of people would have chosen Superstar Saga.
I'm going to get us off topic here because I just listened to this today, so that's why it is. But Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, obviously, big generation. You said it's the generation that almost lost you.
Sure.
This is the generation that started that downslide for me. But Diamond and Pearl is what almost lost me.
Okay.
But once again, we're going to talk about the generations behind podcast. This was a hot takes episode.
So they like hot takes.
Yeah. So I like talking about it because I don't see them in person, so it's hard to have these conversations.
Sure.
But Craig's hot take was that the Gen 3 starters are the worst set of starters out of all the starters across the board. He said they're the ugliest, they're his least favorite. And I personally, I agree. They've always been my least favorite. So to Tyler, who really hated that take, I apologize. But I am not a Gen 3 fan as far as starters go. Gen itself, I like it enough, but
yeah. Okay, so who are the Gen 3? Torchic?
Mudkip, and Trico.
Trico I hate. Mudkip I think is pretty cute.
Swamp? No, I'm not. He's not talking just base form though.
He's talking just
final
generally
evolution as well. Yeah,
I could see that.
Because I don't like what's Trico's last form? Sceptile.
Sceptile. Yeah, Sceptile is whatever.
I don't like it.
Don't care.
And I hate Swampert. I think he's ugly.
Okay.
Blaziken I'm indifferent to.
Okay, this is going to sound a bit, this is even maybe a hotter take. I feel like that's the way he feels about Gen 3 starters is the way I kind of feel about Gen 2 starters.
It's not a hot take episode, James, but you are unequivocally incorrect.
Okay, here's the reason. Totodile is great. Everyone agrees. I'm not even a water trainer.
Cyndaquil is great.
Everybody loves Totodile. Oh, I agree.
Chikorita sucks.
I think Chikorita's all right. Honestly, no, I don't love Cyndaquil. I don't love the fire line at all, bro. I'm not even gonna lie.
Dude, Cyndaquil, and then Quilava and Typhlosion are all great.
Meganium's a little bit weak.
I don't like it. But Croconaw and Feraligatr, come on.
Totodile's great. Feraligatr is kind of
Feraligator's okay, yeah, a giant freaking alligator that walks on 2 legs.
I'm lukewarm on him.
I'm lukewarm.
Okay, so if you put that next to Gen 3, you're talking...
Dude, Gen 2, whatever.
Okay, so you're talking
Gen 3.
This
is why hot take episodes are good, I guess.
But. Well, we're way overdue for hot takes too, but maybe he's right. Okay, so Gen 3 was, you said Sceptile. It would have been Marshtomp.
Marshtomp? Second stage.
Oh, second stage? What does Marshtomp evolve into?
You broke my brain.
And
Swampert. No.
Swampert, yeah.
Yeah, is that the third stage?
Swampert.
Okay. And then
there was even a Mega Swampert. It was all fat and stuff. Swampert, Blaziken.
And, Sceptile.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see that being the worst one. But a lot of people would probably pick Gen 5. A lot of people didn't like the Gen 5 starters. But I like the Gen 5 starters. I like the Gen 5 starters a lot. So I think
I'm a big Samurott fan.
Yeah, I like even more than Samurott. Like generally, like it all starts with the baby forms, and man, I love me some Oshawott.
Oshawott, adorable.
I love Oshawott.
He's adorable. Why is this a Pokemon episode?
I don't know. It just became that. We're sorry, guys. Didn't mean for this to happen. Anyways,
apologies. I off-railed us there.
Who declared that hot take? Because I don't necessarily disagree.
That was Craig of Craig's Game Rube fame. He has a full PS Vita set.
Wow.
Yeah, he's an impressive collector.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily disagree. I would say for me, Gen 2 is probably close to my low rung of the starters, which I know that is definitely a hotter take, but yeah, I could see Gen 3 being the worst. Gen 4 was Empoleon. What was the rest from
Torterra?
Oh, Torterra's all right, and then it would have
been
been Infernape's
yeah.
pretty.
Infernape's cool.
Infernape's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. How could anybody dislike? He's a freaking fire monkey.
Plus, we have weird memories attached to Infernape that just make it forever.
Huge power.
Make me happy. All right. Yeah. So, anyways, final focus on this issue is the Epic Center. We're so excited we can hardly contain it. Pokemon Coliseum, Tales of Symphonia, Goblin Commander. If you can't find something in this month's Epic Center to whet your RPG appetite, apparently this is an RPG focused article, whatever.
I didn't even know Goblin Commander was an RPG. I've never heard people talk about that game when they talk about GameCube RPGs.
Yeah. So in this couple pages, 100 and 101, they interviewed the team that made Pokemon Coliseum.
Yeah.
And as I read this, I was surprised by how excited not just the development team was, but like how much expectation was placed on this game. Because I don't remember being super stoked for Pokemon Coliseum, and that probably had to do with I was a little disillusioned, just a little down on, probably as down on Pokemon as I'd been at the time.
He was also into Madden at this point.
He was a little too
cool.
Like internet was a thing, and like the competitive internet games were like becoming a thing that mattered to me in my life. So that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Anyways, I wanted to read a couple of these, a couple of the excerpts from this interview, and there is like a number of points in the captions I'll read where it says laughs because the development team laughs or whatever. When I say laughs, Chris, it's laugh track time, and I want you to laugh. Okay, I'll try to laugh. All right. Anyway, so Tsukasa Tawara said, I tried to balance the direction of music and sounds with the concept, art, and scenario. My main focus was to stretch myself and try new things, but also to retain the feel of a dry, urban world. We actually tried to make a lot of the game resemble Phoenix, Arizona in a loose way. I found that very interesting. Like, I think as a Pokemon fan, you tend to think that the one world that was inspired by the US or America was Unova, Gen 5, right? Mm-hmm. But what is it? What was this called?
Or yeah, ORRE.
Yeah, Or was apparently also American inspired. Yeah, like the deserty, arid, dry area of this game. Kind of interesting. So if you're from Arizona, listeners, you have a Pokemon game that's just for you.
Yeah, you do.
I honestly didn't know about that.
Jasmine's extended family that I was just talking about. They're in Phoenix.
There you go.
You guys got to play Coliseum.
You got to play Coliseum. You just got to buy it first, or
and a GameCube.
Yeah, honestly, that's where the NSO GameCube would be very nice to not have to spend that money. Takanori Wada said, we started to create CG based on the illustrations. Since I was still learning about the world of Pokemon, there was some major surprises for me during that process. It was a big hurdle to create animations of Mr. Hiramoto's art and then fuse them with Pokemon art. However, once we combined the two, it became extremely interesting. Cute Pokemon in a decaying world. I feel very good about this stylistic mismatch. Masayuki Kawamoto says, I hadn't played any GBA or GameCube Pokemon games before we started. There actually wasn't a true Pokemon expert in the entire studio, but that didn't change our deadlines. Laughs. I've learned a lot about the depth of Pokemon during this project. There's a huge number of Pokemon, and each one can be customized in thousands of different ways. We had to deal with that in both the story mode and battle mode, which was an extremely challenging job for me. Who was Manabu Yamena, who I think was the lead developer, says, yes, each Pokemon can learn 4 attacks, and there are so many of them. There were so many possible combinations that we had to make work. At one point, we asked Nintendo, how do we do this? How can we possibly check every single combination? Nintendo just said, please check everything. Laughs.
That was a genuine laugh. Nintendo just mocked them.
Yeah. Get it done.
Yeah, but not our problem. We're paying you.
They go on to talk about how there's a lot. It was a longer interview. I just love these exclusive interviews that you can't find anywhere else. Like this was originally made available, I think, just on the Japanese website, and then it was exclusive to this magazine. I love these like Iwata Asks, these developer Nintendo interviews where you get like insights you had no idea about otherwise.
It's a product of, this is probably a weird thing to say, but it's a product of a bygone era.
Yeah.
It makes me think of DVDs, but that had director commentary and stuff, and that stuff was, honestly, most people didn't watch it, but when I really liked a movie, I'd rewatch it with that stuff to find out those little tidbits, that came up when filming and stuff. And you just don't get that stuff anymore.
No.
They're all worked to the bone so much that they probably don't have anything positive to say when they're done.
No, and
plus they got fired when they're done anyway. So
good job. You're laid off.
Yeah, sorry about that. Whew.
It's all good. Anyways, I thought that was cool. They continued to talk about Coliseum and how it really was a 2-for-1 game, because I think a lot of the reason that I wasn't super hyped about it was I thought it was just another Pokemon Stadium.
Yeah,
maybe they didn't do a good job of.
I remember being fully aware that it was an RPG. Were you fully aware?
Yeah. I guess it was probably...
remember, I pre-ordered it, and I bought it day one because I was excited.
Yeah. Anyways, it's a lot more... It's just cool that it's a 2-for-1 game. It's essentially Stadium for Gen 3, but also its own, like a standalone RPG that is really unique and focuses on double battles, and it's really cool.
Yep. We need to do a GameCube episode in the future because, like our 5 favorite GameCube games, like we did with 64.
Yeah.
But I will just state the Coliseum games are so good.
Yeah.
They are I would say the most underappreciated Pokemon games there.
Yeah.
And this could be a hot take to somebody, but I think they're probably the best Pokemon games, almost period.
They're a breath of fresh air for sure. Like I could totally see how somebody would consider them that way.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
And this development team, Genius Sonority, they went on to they essentially became like a small puzzle game developer. Like I think they got absorbed into Game Freak at some point. Either way, they were made by Nintendo and the Pokemon Company originally to create this game, and then Gale of Darkness.
They did a good thing, man. Those games are way better than people give them credit for.
Yeah, for sure. Anyways, that is Power Hour, friends.
That was a good Power Hour.
I was a little long-winded there, but
we're always long-winded here at the X Button Gaming Podcast.
That is true.
It's a gift. All right. So before we get to the main topic, we have one more topic, and that is.
I've got my eye on you.
Oh, yeah.
You could not tell me you don't dance when that comes on.
I do every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
James dances to the melodious sound of his voice.
It's beautiful. And haunting.
It haunts my nightmares. Keldrick has gotten to this thing when we're playing games and stuff. When he makes a point sometimes, he'll go... And I hate it because you know who else does that?
Me?
You.
I thought I do the sniff. Maybe I do that too.
You do that? Nah, you do both.
We all have tells. We all have tells where we're like, gotcha.
Yeah. Oh God, I hate it so much. It sends a chill of anger down my spine.
You start charging up your fist. You're like,
there's nobody here for me to hit.
Like Donkey Kong and Smash.
Yeah. All right, man. What do you have your eyes on?
First off, we talked a little bit about revised games. I have one specific revised game that is on my radar. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe plus Booster Course Pass. Revision 003. Version 3.0.3. Complete with waves 1 through 6 of DLC. So you could classify it in a similar vein as that Pokemon Violet with plus DLC. But just bigger because it's it has all waves. There's which is a lot of tracks that was added after the fact for
a lot of tracks.
It's
double the amount of tracks.
I think many would say this is the best, if not the definitive Mario Kart game, and this is the complete version of it, which I don't expect to get any more updates because they're not going to add any more tracks now. We're literally working on another Mario Kart game right now. So who knows? Maybe they're already done.
I mean, it probably is. It's probably close to it, if not done.
Yeah. But anyways, I do have my eye on it.
They've had 10 plus years to work on a Mario Kart game.
Yeah. Like the Pokemon game that I mentioned in pickups earlier. This is sold out right now. It goes for $120 Canadian, which is like $93. It's again, when you have all these DLCs in one cartridge, the price is
a good deal.
It's inflated, but again, I think
it's a good deal for what it is.
This will be a collector's item down the line for sure. Mm-hmm. For sure.
What else? Just go through your whole list.
Okay, sure. So this was mentioned on the Discord. Seattle Mariners are kind of reigniting their visible vocal attachment to Nintendo. who are still, I think, minority owners or something and part of the Seattle Mariners. It used to be a lot more public, and they used to be majority owners of the team. They're not anymore. I kind of wish they were literally anybody else of the team, but that's a whole different conversation. Anyways, they announced today, both Nintendo of America and the Mariners retweeted and shared their posts that starting opening day, March 27th, when the season kicks off, Nintendo will be featured on the jersey sleeve of the Seattle Mariners uniforms, home and away. So I think Rob or somebody shared the picture of what the home.
Rob.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. My fellow sports fan on the Discord. The home uni had like the Nintendo logo, and I shared the really ugly away slash. I don't think I love the teal jersey that the Mariners rock. I think it's unique. It's like our ugly, but it's also really cool. You know, that teal.
I know what you mean. I like it.
Away or alt jersey. But like it just has this massive Nintendo Switch 2 logo now on the shoulder, just such an eyesore.
Yeah, it's kind of odd.
Like this isn't that weird like in European sports, right? Like in soccer or F1, for example. There's logos all over the place on everything. But for American sports, having logos is kind of like it makes us. It like triggers our gag reflex, like American sports fans, you know?
Yeah.
And this is fine, like, because I love Nintendo, but also I get it. Like, they're part of the ownership, and they're now a sponsor and all that. But anyways, the reason I've got my eye on it is there is precedent, especially when Nintendo is more visibly trying to advertise and promote their brand with the team, that sometimes, as we know, we've talked about this before, sometimes collaborations come together. Mm-hmm. We do have a Nintendo DS Lite that we have featured on this podcast before that is still on. My eye is still on it. I'm not saying that's going to happen again, but I'm also not saying that won't happen again.
Nintendo does weird things.
There is a non-zero chance that Nintendo and the Mariners do have some kind of. It could even just be a Switch 1. I hope not. That would be pretty lame. Like a Switch 1 themed or skinned with Seattle Mariners. But
if they announce this, how many days in advance would you camp out to make sure you get one?
Whatever is necessary.
Well, how do you know?
What
if they announce tomorrow?
I would at least camp the night before the game. I would at least camp the night before, at least, for sure. Like if that was necessary, which I think it might be because the climate of scalpers right now is honestly pretty terrible. Mm-hmm. It would be quite the collector's item, or at least I think it would, unless they printed them into the ground, but I don't think that would happen.
Even at that, I mean, printing it into the ground is subjective, because I doubt they would print it like a normal console. Yeah. It'd still be a limited edition console.
Yeah. Even if this doesn't happen, right? This is very speculative. This is a very speculative, I've got my eye on you. But even if this doesn't happen, it is very clear there will be jerseys with Nintendo brands and logos on them. And I don't currently have like an authentic jersey, so it seems like an okay time for me to start shopping or looking around for an authentic jersey with the Nintendo logo on it. Like
it's time to get that Ichiro jersey.
We already talked about. I love those when two worlds collide like this. Mm-hmm. I got to get that stuff. So it could just be in the form of a jersey. I've been waiting for a collaboration with George Kirby, one of our best starting pitchers. Like it just seems like Kirby. It seems like faded. Nintendo. His last name is literally Kirby, Kirby. Like, why do we not have some kind of Kirby collaboration yet, especially with Nintendo on board?
He should be asking that. If he's not already, he's a fool.
It honestly upsets me that there isn't some kind of Kirby collab, shirt, bobblehead, something. There has to be.
I hope it happins.
I hope that happens
for
too.
you.
So that's one thing that I've got my eye on. I know that's a little speculative. Maybe that upsets some of you. That it's not something specific, but I'm just keeping my nose to the ground. I am aware that something could happen there. Finally, on May 15th, Nintendo will open the doors to Nintendo San Francisco. Were you familiar with this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I knew that they were opening one in San Francisco, and I just read the other day that it's in May.
Yeah. So it's second official store in the U.S., apparently. Like, obviously, there's the one in NYC, which I don't think I've ever gone to personally, but I'd like to. But there's always a lot of, like, launch events with exclusive gear, especially with specific games, consoles, which brings me to a little bit more of a speculative I've got my eye on you. May 15th, some are saying, some are speculating, maybe rightfully so, that May 15th could be the launch date of the Nintendo Switch 2.
What day is May 15th? What day of the week?
Let's look it up.
Because Nintendo normally launches stuff on, what, Fridays?
I don't know. This is going to be a Thursday.
Thursdays?
What do you think? Is Thursday a day when they might launch a console?
Didn't Xenoblade Chronicles X come out today? What day was March 3rd? March 3rd, 2017, because that's when the Switch came out.
Oh, man, I need to go way back. March 3rd, 2017? Is that what it was for sure?
Yeah, 100%. You don't remember that?
I mean, no. March 3rd, 2017 would have been a Friday. I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe. I mean, if there is a pattern, then maybe not. But some are suggesting that may be the launch day, and it's coinciding with the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2, May 15th.
Yeah, that would be cool.
It is I don't think it's the most far-fetched theory.
Nothing's far-fetched right now because we don't know anything.
Again, even if that is the case, brand new launch of a store, flagship grand opening of Nintendo San Francisco, very decent chance there is going to be exclusive swag. Not decent. There's almost 100% chance there's going to be exclusive swag from the launch day. In what form will it come? I would think probably like clothes and merch. But if there's something a little more substantial, say a game, say a console. Would I take the not so short drive?
Hey, it's only
down
a 16-hour drive.
16-hour drive. I might take my friend Chris with me, and we could help each other out.
If I could figure out how to monetize this stuff, then we can podcast and YouTube the whole way down.
Live stream the camping out in San Francisco.
Man. Be one of the bajillion there live streaming.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, getting eaten alive by the homeless people too. Anyways,
what's happening? Worth it.
Anyways, again, really speculative, which is not normally what I do in this segment of I've got my eye on you. But there is real potential with that and with the Mariners for something really cool and collectible to come out. Mm-hmm. And so I'm definitely excited and eager to find out what. So
you've got your eye on some speculation.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of nice things, but having one on the West Coast at least, even though it's not, in our back door necessarily, it's still a little more achievable than New York. If we get random limited editions, kind of like what you talked about, like during the Wii U days, they got that Mario Kart 8 limited edition that came with the blue shell statue. Yeah. They got the Hyrule Warriors limited edition that came with the scarf. Yeah. Those things are like hecka sought after. Yeah. And it'd be cool to actually have an opportunity to get those things, like slightly more obtainably.
It does make you wonder if what is available on a promotional basis at the New York City location, will it be mirrored in San Francisco? So if a brand new Pokemon game comes out, new Zelda game comes out, Nintendo Switch comes out, if there is something promotional and exclusive to a launch at the Nintendo store in New York City, will that be mirrored or echoed in San Francisco? I would think so. So yeah, maybe a little bit more available to us now if it's something we really, really want.
Here's to hoping. Man, one thing that would be cool that they don't really do it anymore that I know of, but back in the Game Boy Advance days, they did those Pokemon Center exclusive Game Boy Advances for Pokemon, and they did like the Ruby and the Sapphire one, and dude, there were some cool ones out there, and they're hecka expensive, but
yeah. Anyways, I think that's
what you got your eye on.
What you got your eye on right now.
So this is it's going to sound kind of random, but something I've been doing research into lately that I've been kind of wanting to get into. I guess for a little bit of backstory, anybody who knows me might know that I'm not really into Lego necessarily. I think they're cool, but I've never been very good at building things. I obviously being an architect was not in my future, but Lego is cool. But so when Lego Dimensions came out back in 2014-ish, 2015, I never paid it any attention. Mm-hmm. It's a Lego game, but you use the toy to life type thing like Amiibos or Skylanders to use little Legos to put into the games and stuff. Yeah. Like I said, I paid no attention. But recently, I don't know what made me look at it, but I ended up looking into it and I saw they had a cool little Sonic figure for the Lego Dimensions game. And then it sent me down a rabbit hole to see what other sets there were. And as I was looking into it, I was like, man, this is actually kind of cool. Like, they did a lot of different sets based off of a lot of different IPs. Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, Harry Potter, Ghostbusters, Adventure Time. Obviously, like I said, what did I just freaking say? Sonic. They had a Portal one. There's a lot of really cool sets. And a lot of them are still pretty dang cheap. And there's just this part of me that wants to kind of get into collecting some of the ones that I want, not all of them. But I think it would be cool to have the Sonic one, which is a little more expensive. Or I love late 90s, early 2000s, like Cartoon Network shows. And there's a couple Powerpuff Girls sets. I think those would be cool to have. And what's cool is they don't take up, I mean, assuming I opened them, which I would probably try to buy them open, they don't take up too much room because it's just Lego figures, you know, one or two characters, an item or a world or a level to play. And like I said, there's some cool ones. There's an ET one,
Let's go.
which I thought was cool. A Back to the Future one, Mission Impossible one that comes with a level. Like, there's some cool ones there, and it just seems like kind of a fun little side thing to kind of collect while I'm, working on other things.
I like that,
and it's just something I've had my eye on, and I feel like from a value perspective, Lego is one of the most expensive things that there is, like as far as collectibles go. Lego sets are way more expensive than most video games. It gets ridiculous.
It's true.
So I'm kind of surprised that the value in these hasn't popped up yet, other than the fact they probably were pretty well produced. But as time goes on, there's going to be less and less of these in good shape, or that weren't just tossed into a bin with other Legos and then donated or lost over time. And I just think it'd be cool to get the ones that I would like. So I want to get a complete set of the base game that comes with its own like land and comes with a couple figures too. I think it comes with Gandalf.
Nice.
And Batman and somebody else.
Sweet. I like that.
Yeah, but then just to have it, play around with it, see if the game was actually any good. Seems like it has a pretty strong following still.
Lego Dimensions, you said.
Lego Dimensions,
nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I honestly wasn't super familiar with it. I have a little bit of a leaning towards Legos for sure. I mean, you obviously heard about the Pokemon Legos that are coming out too, right? That's going to be...
And the Game Boy one, I mean, they haven't said much about it, but I think that concept is cool.
I know. They haven't shown that yet.
That might be one I liked the idea of the NES one, but it was so big I didn't know where I'd put it. But the Game Boy one is like, I assume will be more of a Game Boy size, so it might be a little bit easier to display.
I have the NES one that I have not built yet. I am excited to build it, but it's like you said, it's a little complicated trying to figure out where exactly to display it.
Yeah, it's cool though.
It's very cool.
And that Mario and Yoshi one they have now, that one's cool. They're doing some cool video game collabs.
Did you save any of the Legos you got from Nintendo Live? But by any chance, too, they had like Yoshi.
I didn't do
Build-A-Figure Legos.
I didn't end up doing that. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. Why?
I don't know. Just wondering if those are collectibles too. But
I don't know. I did everything else, but for some reason, that's when I think we went to lunch and couldn't get back in.
Oh yeah.
But I missed that part.
That was a crazy event too.
But yeah, Lego Dimensions is just kind of like a side. I think that I just didn't realize like how many expansions and stuff they did for it.
Yeah.
And then once I started looking, I started to get obsessed with just some of the IPs that they used.
When did it start? When did the run of Lego Dimensions start?
Like 2014, 15, somewhere in there, and it was only for like a year or two, so it wasn't a very long run.
Okay.
It was the last of those Toy to Life games to come out. So it didn't have as long of a run. And the other thing that I'm keeping my eye out more for, that's something that I think is cool, and I just want to try to get them. I haven't actually picked this up from Alex yet, but one of these days I'll grab it. Alex grabbed for me off of OfferUp when I was out of town a copy of Star Wars Bounty Hunter for the GameCube.
Very nice.
But this copy specifically came with the trading card. There was a Star Wars trading card game by Wizards of the Coast in the early 2000s, and this game came with a limited edition card that only came with that. It's not the most expensive thing or the most rare thing, but it is hard to find a good condition copy with a good condition of the card at a decent price. And somebody had posted an offer up for like $20. Alex posted it on Discord, and like I said, I was out of town and he went and grabbed it for me. So I need to get that from him. But that sent me down another rabbit hole.
I was going to say that's a pickup that's incoming.
Yeah, and that
sooner or later.
Once I get it, I'll talk about it on an episode in the future, I'm sure. But that sent me down a rabbit hole of like, man, that's cool. Like, what other games came with trading cards on the GameCube or on Game Boy Advance? And I've already been kind of like, I'm not even like a huge Yu-Gi-Oh fan because I've never played the games.
Oh yeah.
But I think it would be really cool to have like the Game Boy Advance games or any of those with trading cards. But anyway, that sent me down a rabbit hole, and there's like 10 different games on GameCube that came with a trading card for a game that was out for that IP at that time. There was a One Piece one, a Naruto one, and any
Pokemon ones?
There's no Pokemon ones.
Surprising.
Other than Pokemon Channel came with e-reader cards.
That's right.
But other than that, no trading cards. It's just a random little side thing I find very I don't know. I just think it's cool when
Yeah.
when games come with this kind of stuff.
For sure.
And like I've been really into One Piece. I love Naruto. Like I kind of want to try to get these games with these cards and do it like at a decent price. So it's just kind of like a side collecting hobby that I've, because I like trading cards and I like obviously video games and I like when those two things collide,
when they
just like you were
collide.
saying
Yep,
with
yep.
sports and games.
Yep. Collabs are cool.
Yeah. So
You heard it here.
you guys might not have known this.
Speaking of One Piece collabs, there is a Mariners game coming up on April 8th with a One Piece promo T-shirt, just so you're aware.
Really? I wonder if Celtic
Mariners
knows
meets
that.
One Piece.
Let's go. April 8th?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I would go. I'm sure Keldrick would
Look
go.
into that.
Is it Nico Robin? Just for you, Kel. Nico Robin collab.
I wouldn't know.
No, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it.
All
That's
right.
it for the I've Got My Eye on You segment.
All right.
Hey, we're only at an hour and a half here.
Oh, we're actually, honestly, that's doing pretty well for us, I feel like.
Yeah, but don't worry. I don't think this main topic will go on too terribly long. But we'll see. I say that a lot. Hey, if you're not here knowing that these episodes are going to be long and we're going to ramble a lot,
Just
then I apologize, I guess.
digest them 1 hour at a time, one half hour at a time.
whatever base you need,
Yes,
just
what's reasonable for you.
listen at a comfortable
One
rate.
jog at a time, one car ride at a time. You know?
One time at a time. Yeah. All right. So, like we said at the outset of the episode, we're going to be talking about a pretty obscure handheld here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to lie. This is not a handheld that almost anybody has any nostalgia for. This is not a handheld that people are clamoring for a remake of any of the games on it. It doesn't have a high demand. I would say the amount of people that even try to collect for this handheld is very, very small. I doubt that the number is large. But that is the Tiger Gamecom.
Yep.
So why the Tiger Gamecom? Well, I like to talk about things that maybe not everybody's familiar with. I like to do research on things that, especially in the video game realm, that maybe aren't as popular just because I like to know about this kind of stuff. But also, I actually have some history with this console. I was one of the 300,000 people that had a Tiger Gamecom.
And so was I.
And so was James. So
surprisingly.
Yeah, I know. 2 people in the same friend group that had a Gamecom. What are the odds?
Yeah.
Not high, but
We're probably by association. That's probably why we ultimately both had it.
it 100% was by association. So
Bad association for sure.
so this was not, so a little backstory before we get into the meat of the conversation. James is going to get into a topic here, but the Gamecom came out in 1997. So that was, the Game Boy had already been out for 8 years at this point. Game Gear had been out for quite a few years. Heck, the Atari Lynx has been out for quite a few years.
Didn't the 64 just come
the
out?
64 was out. And here, young Chris Perry, I don't know what I saw. I don't know why I wanted this.
Yeah.
I didn't have a Game Boy. I did have a Game Gear, but at this point I did not have a Game Boy. And I saw the Gamecom, and I was so sure that I needed this. I remember begging my parents for a Gamecom, and I don't know why. I don't know why I wanted it, but I wanted it, and they got it for me. Man,
It was
a system.
It was a console.
It existed. So we'll talk more about our personal not attachment, but our personal history with the Gamecom in a minute. But before we get more into the console itself, like I said, it's the Tiger Gamecom, and whether you realize it or not, you probably know something about the company Tiger Electronics.
At least if you're old dinosaurs like us.
Yeah, if you're over the age of 25, you probably know at least something about Tiger
Yeah.
Electronics. God, that means you were born in 2000. If you're over the age of 30, you probably know at least something about Tiger Electronics.
Maybe.
I don't even know anymore.
Because I feel like Tiger, the company themselves, have to some degree faded into obscurity. I feel like they're a subsidiary of Hasbro, maybe?
That sounds right.
I think. I should have looked that up. But so Hasbro, or not Hasbro, Tiger, the company that produced this wonderful console, Gamecom, was founded in June 1978. I honestly am a little surprised that it was that early, June 1978.
Yeah,
but
that's a long time ago.
they were basically electronics / game. They produced toys and games. Maybe less games, but they were trying to chase the success of none other than Nintendo. And this is kind of a theme with Tiger. They like to chase
What Nintendo's doing.
Basically, what was working for Nintendo. And they to varying degrees of failure, followed their suit. So anyways, starting in 1985, Tiger started putting out these, you could call them games, you could call them toys. I think it probably depends on where you were at the time, but they started releasing these little squares of plastic with a screen. They're electronic LCD games, and they would be attached to like a franchise, a movie, a game, like a sport. Apparently they started releasing these in 1985, which was earlier than I thought, but it kind of matches up with when I think the NES probably came out. Like they were trying to capitalize off the popularity of video games.
Yeah, I think specifically the popularity of the Game & Watch devices.
Yeah.
Because these are most similar to Game & Watch devices, if anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, it's true. Like they are, like I said, like you could call them games. You might call they probably called themselves, that the company themselves probably called them video games. But like anybody who'd played video games, like like the NES or the Game Boy, if you pick these things up, they feel like something much less than that.
Yeah. Man, I remember going to like the store or whatever when I was a kid and seeing these on the shelf. And of course, at home, I already had a Nintendo. Yeah. Whether I don't remember if it was an original Nintendo or a Super Nintendo at this point, but I remember going to the store and seeing like a Sonic one. Yeah. And being like, Mom, I want that. Mom, I want that. And even my mom, who's not, a gamer or anything, obviously quite a bit older, she would be like, you don't need that. You have Nintendo at home. The meme. But more than anything, she'd be like, that's cheap. Like, you don't need that. You have something better at home. It was more than just the meme, like, you don't need that. We have it at home. She was very much so like, that's crap. you don't need that. And it didn't stop the fact that me as a kid, I see this brand on it that I like.
Did you ever have one of these LCD
my mom wouldn't buy them for me.
Like, I feel like you'd see these things at a garage sale in the 90s in like a bin of trash, basically. You pick it up,
25 cents.
You'd be like, does it work? Okay, it works, but is it fun? No. Like these things are literally like they're like calculator level technology. Where like
literally
little sticks on basically all of the images on this game are like, I don't know how to explain it. They're already like printed.
Yeah, it's a static image on the back that's like printed on.
Yeah,
it's permanently
every
there.
single
you
one.
Turn it off, it's still there.
So like there is very limited possibilities of how this game plays out. And they don't do much. Like in a basketball game, you probably click a button and this guy takes a shot and he just takes it over and over again. Or in a fighting game, you click a button and the buttons are always different on these LCD games. Yeah. Like sometimes like I don't know, it just was never intuitive, never made sense. It was different depending on the one you bought.
Yeah, and they move at like 1 frame a second, like literally. So like the Sonic one, I don't know which Sonic it was supposed to be based off of, but it's on. So for anybody who's ever played Sonic, like the old Sonic games before, the special level on Sonic 2 has you going down like that half pipe, where you have to avoid the spikes and pick up the rings. One of them was set up like that. It was the back static screen that didn't change was a half pipe. It had color, and then you play a Sonic and you just move left to right, or jump. And it's like the things are coming at you like click, 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 click.
And they literally make those sound effects too.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing fancy. I'm sure they helped some people pass time in car rides or whatever.
Yeah. So the first one launched in 1985. Like I said, apparently it was bowling. That's the other thing. These were not like, it wasn't a console, right? These were all individual games based on often individual property or something in pop culture or whatever. Game shows, which we'll get into a little bit more later on the GameCom. But like these were all over the place, like Chris said, in toy stores. Like I can remember the Toys R Us in Tacoma. Like I remember where exactly I would walk to look at what video games were on the wall, those little sheets of paper you'd pull out, see if there was any copies of the game. Like just past that, I can remember the area where you'd find these Tiger
and James
electronic
doesn't remember
games.
much.
I don't remember much, but I remember exactly where these were in the Toys R Us. And I remember you'd walk past it and like they were like they were on like almost like an open table shelf or something where it was probably like 5 or 10 of them displayed next to each other, like, and they were back to back too. So it was like on different sides of the aisle and there was a ton of them, and I think even at the time as a kid, like who would say, I want anything, like I did not want them. I didn't want them.
Better than me.
I didn't want them.
That was stupid.
I didn't want them.
I wanted everything.
But like they were just a cheap, like lower, I don't know, just a cheaper entry into the game space, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Tiger made their dime off of at the time.
I mean, they obviously did pretty well with it, and there is a huge level of nostalgia based off of that. Since in the last 5 years or so, there was a resurgence of these.
Was there?
These these little handhelds. Like you could see them in the checkout line at GameStop. Like they'd have some in like the little sec. I don't know if they're still making them or if they're still. But there was like they tried to make a comeback.
Yeah,
probably Hasbro.
Yeah, it was just a weird time. There was all kinds of toys, and this was one of them too.
Yep.
Not really a video game, but wanting to appear to be a video game. But yeah, I don't remember having one myself.
Yeah, I don't think I ever had one.
But Tiger, kind of moving forward, like, they were trying to keep up with Nintendo at the time. And so they released kind of the next iteration of these LCD electronic games. And it was called the R-Zone. Are you familiar with the R-Zone, Chris?
Never played one, but I'm familiar with it by name. It's a small library of games that it had.
This came out February 1995, so 2 years prior to the Gamecom. And it was like... It had a head strap, and it had like you almost looked like you were a Saiyan with a scouter on your face, basically. But there was a cord with a controller that also attached to this headpiece, so you could kind of control it from the controller. You could plug in different games. It wasn't just one game at a time like the standalone individual LCD games. But it was basically the same thing. I think it was like... They were trying to rip off the Virtual Boy, from what I recall.
Yeah, they obviously thought that the Virtual Boy was going to be a rave success.
Which it was not.
Yeah, they miscalculated on this one,
and it was actually something a lot worse than the Virtual Boy.
Yeah, and so there were these like little cartridges that had a little screen on them, kind of like, and when you pop it in there, it just take that static screen and put it there.
Yeah,
and put a little bit of data in there for you to move a different looking character. Probably, I never played it,
and I can't imagine it was like super like the view or the the perspective was super easy to work with. Like
one eye,
yeah, one eye. It's just so interesting. But again,
I have never, ever heard anybody say anything about the R-Zone that wasn't like it's an easy set to collect if you want to go for it, because it's a small set.
And I think there was a second iteration of the R-Zone too.
Like a handheld thing or something, it looks like.
Yeah, like... Anyways, they were, once again, kind of trying to, in this case, chase the failure of Nintendo. But they were just trying to keep up with trends, and... when they kept up, it was low effort trash for the most part.
Yeah. At best, they took advantage of the fact that they seemed to be able to have access to a bunch of IPs through partnerships.
Yeah.
And tried to like really take advantage of that and get people to buy off of these names that they recognized.
Yeah, which there was a billion back then, whether it was like Aladdin or Jurassic Park or any famous movie you can imagine from the time.
Didn't matter. They probably made a handle out of it.
That was probably the strength of Tiger, was that they had their hands in like every little pop culture bucket.
Yeah,
or
it probably wasn't as expensive as it is now to do that. Like you could probably get access to IPs a lot cheaper. Now everything's expensive, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So that's some history of Tiger as a company. Do you have anything else there?
Not really. Just that led up to the Gamecom.
Yeah.
Or Game.com as it's spelled.
That's okay. I did kind of cut you off, but I assumed you were done there.
Yeah.
So that is where the Gamecom came in. And this was their attempt to 9 years later, or 8 years later, I guess, to try to capitalize off the success of the Game Boy and make their own Game Boy killer.
Yeah.
So it's 1997, and they're thinking, like, we're going to do this. We're going to make something better than the Game Boy.
Almost 10 years later.
Yeah, almost 10 years later. At this point, like I said, the Game Boy had come out, Game Gear, Atari Lynx. You could get the Sega Nomad to play Genesis games on the go. They had the handheld TurboGrafx, the Express, I think, where you could play TurboGrafx games on the go. There was a lot of options.
64 was PlayStation at this time too?
Yeah, PlayStation, Saturn, they were all out at this point.
Dang.
Like, yeah, there was very little reason to try to compete with the black and white screen of the Game Boy that was already way out of like
just aged
at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna turn on the Gamecom for you guys real quick. Yeah, that's it, guys.
The Gamecom active.
Yeah, the Gamecom was something else. So they were trying to be not just a gaming console, but this was going to be a game console for adults, for like real, not just for kids, because the Gamecom didn't just play games. It also came pre-installed with things like a calculator, a calendar, a phone book, solitaire, and even a high score page where you could keep track of your high scores in all the games.
Very nice.
And the thing that was truly trying to set it up as the console of the future was you could get a cartridge and an Ethernet cable, hook this thing right up to your router,
Yep.
and you could access the internet, fellas. 1997, and we were in the future. And
Oh,
apparently
man.
all of this stuff was things where I was like, well, damn. Young at this point, 9-year-old Chris Perry was like,
I'm sold.
I got to do this. And 9-year-old Chris Perry took advantage of this. You open the phone book here, and I added context to this phone
Oh,
book.
yes, you did.
I have real life friends such as Bulma and Captain Capacitor from Reboot, or even Chaosu, a really badly spelled Krillin, Captain Genyu. Real people like Edgar Valdobinos, one of my friend in 6th grade.
Yeah.
Enzo from Reboot. I like two things then: Reboot and Dragon Ball Z, and my
And you had
my
a couple friends.
Yeah, I had George Matthews, a kid I don't even remember actually being friends with.
You probably wanted to be friends with him.
Maybe I just thought he was cool. I got my homie James Dunmeyer in here, and you click on his name.
I made it, dude.
You click on the name here. Yeah, he made it. He's next level.
Do you have contact info there?
Oh yeah, got your phone number.
Oh no!
Same home, and I'm gonna dox you right
You know
now
what?
until the whole whole world.
My God. I wonder if that number is even working anymore.
James's parents' phone number.
We'll find out right now. Let's do it live. No.
Let's call. I can only imagine your mom answering the phone and being mad.
But yeah, like it had all these like PDA features basically, which people valued to some degree back then. Like there
Yeah.
was like
Nick Bennett, you're in here, buddy. When you listen to this, I spelled Piccolo very wrong.
you spelled a lot of things wrong.
I never claimed to be smart.
Your spelling of Krillin was wonderful. That's
Yeah.
all I remember.
I spelled it how I thought it sounded. Okay. I don't think I used the calendar in here. Anyway, this thing was,
It's weird. Like they were competing with the Game Boy, but they were appealing to older gamers, or they were trying to.
yeah, it's like they were trying to reach this, like, they apparently didn't think adults played Game Boy. They felt like adults needed something different. Anyway, so yeah, the Gamecom was strange. 1997, it comes out, and it launches at $70, which doesn't feel like that expensive, even for the time. I bet you could probably get a Game Boy for $100, but it had been out for 9 years at this point, almost a decade. Is that a
I bet
decade?
you could have got it at a smaller price. You would think.
Probably, if you shopped
and there was
around.
there was a massive library at that point of Game Boy games too. But
Oh yeah, completely. And this is just before the Game Boy Color came out, because I think the Game Boy Color came out in '98.
and by that matter, also right before Pokemon came out too.
Yeah, at that when Pokemon came out, this thing would have been dead if it wasn't already.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So anyway, they had high hopes for this.
Yeah.
But then as it's getting ready to launch, they have it up to be played at E3 and different tech conventions of the time, and so we had some previews here that I wanted to read off. So I'm gonna read a little bit here. So at the time of its launch in 1997, Chris Johnston, a video game spot, a website or magazine that I do not believe exists anymore, said he believed that the console would have difficulty competing against the Game Boy. He also believed that the text-based internet, because you couldn't surf the internet with actual images. It was only it would simplify the web pages to text.
It was basically like emailing only, right?
And you could, an email, but you couldn't even download the emails. You could only read them on there. So
Weird.
he believed that the text-based email would only have, and online would only have limited appeal, and that they were already outdated features. He said it's a decent system, but Nintendo's just too powerful in the industry, which was true.
Yeah.
Then Chip and Jonathan Carter wrote that the console did not play action games as well as it did with other games, although they praised the console's various options and wrote, graphically, we'd have to say this has the potential to perform better than the Game Boy. As for sound, Gamecom delivers better than any other handheld on the market, which is probably true. The sound in this thing is actually pretty good. It could actually do voices with some level of clarity. That opening thing isn't the best example, but James was playing a game on here earlier with just a bunch of sound effects, and they were all very clear.
Yeah.
Like, you knew exactly what they were. And then a team of 4 at Electronic Gaming Monthly, another RIP, but
EGM.
great magazine.
Yeah.
They gave the Gamecom scores of I'm assuming this is out of 10, 5.5, 4.5, 5.0, and 4.0.
Nice.
They were impressed by the PDA features and touchscreen, but
Yep.
they commented that the game library had thus far failed to deliver on the Gamecom's great potential.
Preach, EGM.
They elaborated that while the non-scrolling games, particularly Wheel of Fortune, were great fun and made good use of the touchscreen, the more conventional action games were disappointing and suffered from prominent screen blurring.
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, that only gives you a little bit of an insight, but overall, that was kind of what people were already saying. Like, I guess it's okay. Like, it's
Yeah.
kind of the overall consensus. Like, yeah, it's fine, but is it going to compete with Game Boy? I don't know. Probably not.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is all as it was coming out in 97.
Yeah.
And then just on a quick note, they did do a console revision 2 years later, which I'm surprised it was 2 years later. I would have thought it was less than a year. But 2 years later, they released the Gamecom Pocket Pro, and it released at $30, and it had a backlit screen, but only could support one cartridge and no longer had the support of the internet. So, I mean, they
Yeah.
just lost a bunch of supporters right
It was
there.
a lot cheaper though. Like that would have been a cheaper entry to the
$30 instead of
like,
70.
that probably would have done a lot better than the Gamecom itself did.
Yeah, but you know, I didn't need to wait. I needed that $70 original model.
Yeah, I did, and I'm just so like my memories are. I just remember having it. I remember a couple of the games I played on it, and it's the same as you. Like by the time this came out, I had access to so many other game consoles. Like for the time, like I had played on the NES. I loved the Super Nintendo. We had the 64. We had to because I know we had it at launch basically.
Yeah.
We had a Game Boy. We had a Game Gear, which honestly, Game Gear was really good. Just setting aside the really crappy battery life.
Yeah, but it had a backlit screen.
Yeah, the Game Gear was it was just so far ahead. But like, what was it about this that I felt like I needed? I'm so confused.
It was probably
looking
my
back.
bad influence because I remember wanting this thing. So
It must have been you. What are you doing?
I tricked you. Gotcha.
Like,
I did that then so that today I could say, ha,
yeah, I know.
I made your parents waste $70.
I was gonna say, like, I'm kind of like stupefied by it. Like, what was it about this that made me excited? But like, I wanted it. And to my dad or mom, my parents' credit, like they went along with it. Like I probably complained and whined, and they're like, oh, whatever, here it is. And they
Will it shut you up?
even they must have been looking at this and they'd seen what the Game Gear looks like or other consoles and been like, why would you want to play this? I don't know.
Who knows? I never claimed to be smart, but yeah.
I thought were we going to talk about the commercials?
Yeah,
at
I was gonna have you go ahead and talk about the commercials. So obviously the console is coming out. So what does anybody do when they're releasing a new product? They advertise
Oh,
it.
dude, this is the best part of
These commercials are wild. I'm just gonna talk about them for a minute.
Dude, these commercials are to me like the best part of the Gamecom story. So there's a couple ones of note. This first Gamecom commercial was set in this like concert venue where like this little man steps on stage and he stands on a security guard so he can speak into the mic to this crowd, and he starts by like kind of like berating the audience, like just being kind of rude and condescending. He's like, I have a surprise for all the slackers who have nothing better to do than play games and surf the net all day. Gamecom! And he like holds the Gamecom above his head, kind of like Link holding up like an item or something. Lay those bloodshot eyes on these babies. It speaks, begs to be touched, wires you to the internet, and it plays more games than you idiots have brain cells.
Oh, Gamecom knew how to get to the
like
consumer.
You're, like insulting your potential customers.
Hopefully this commercial isn't what convinced me to want one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or else that explains a lot.
I mean, it was. Anyways, and he goes, any questions? And one of this guys goes like, I don't even know if he had to finish his question. This guy's like, does it play? And he like interrupts him. He's like, idiot, next question. And then someone else is like, how about compatibility? Next question. And some girl's like, how much does it cost? He goes, moron. And at that point, the crowd like rushes the stage to attack this guy. And that's like the end of the commercial.
Yeah, it doesn't sell you on the
like,
product at all.
And meanwhile, like they're showing you like, you know, they're showing you footage of what the Gamecom plays and games that are going to be there at launch. And they have this tiger that will appear like, it'll just show up on the screen and just like growl like
wow, a tiger's here.
Yeah, like, oh, you're the company called Tiger. Like, it was such a wild and like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's so 90s. Like, commercials
Very
were
much
so
remember the Attitude Era of WWF?
Yeah.
Like, it's very much so like
it
that.
was like so in your face and like rough and weird. But you guys should definitely look up these commercials. Like, I think that's like the best part of the Gamecom story for sure. Okay, and that's only one commercial.
Oh, we ain't done yet.
I think that's probably the best commercial, honestly.
yeah,
But
it was pretty dang funny.
the second one is set in heaven where these angels are like bored. And they're like, well, what are we doing? What do you want to do today? And they're like, nothing. I'm like, that's what we did yesterday. Until this like angel pops up through the clouds and asks, could I tempt you with a little Gamecom?
So what is it, a demon then?
Maybe. But he like opens his left wing and there's like a dozen Gamecom game cartridges like tucked underneath his
That
wing.
was the majority of the library.
That was the majority of the library. Finally, like, anyways, they're talking about it. There's like this angel playing the harp, and like they're all being excited about the Gamecom and oohing and ahhing over it. And then finally, apparently, God shows up, and the guy who brought the Gamecom flees into the clouds again. But like, it's just so weird. These 90s commercials were wild, and I am here for it. I love seeing these things. It just reminds me of like watching Nickelodeon and
yeah, man,
watching MTV even.
We were raised in a very unhinged time.
very, very strange. But yeah, those Gamecom commercials were really funny.
Yeah,
I thought.
Yeah, they're definitely something else. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
so
much. There's some other ones too. Oh, there was like a bite-sized like cut of a commercial with that little guy again, where he says, "Game Boy, don't touch the net." So like even on these commercials, they were like kind of trying to advertise.
That was big back then.
Yeah,
to
like
just talk about.
I mean, it's in the
competition.
name, right? Game.com, even though it's called Gamecom for some reason. Like they wanted to make that one of the like most prominent features.
Yeah, it being on the internet was supposed to be a big deal,
even though it basically didn't matter at all.
Nope.
Which is weird.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird console. Definitely a weird piece of gaming history. Definitely have no idea what Tiger was trying to do with their advertising. It was odd, but we do have some history with it, and I think that in itself is just strange. And part of the reason that this console was even back in my mind again is because last year I ended up. I've mentioned this before, but I like to watch eBay ending soon listings and just kind of scroll for a little bit, see what's ending really soon, and then if it's, maybe I catch a deal. And I saw ending, like I said, this was probably about a year ago. It was a complete in-box Gamecom with like 5 games, and it was like $50. And I already have the console I just turned on a minute ago is my original console that I had when I was a kid. And surprisingly, the battery backup in this thing is still good because it still has that information in there, which that's impressive, I guess. But I saw this for $50, and I recognized one of the games in there as being the most expensive game on the console, and it also came with a couple others. But I was like, man, I'm just gonna bid on it. If nobody outbids me, then cool. I have a backup Gamecom. Well, it said it was broken, but I got it, and I've cleaned up the battery terminals, and it works fine.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, so that kind of got me thinking about like the library again. And on another note, just before COVID, so probably late 2019, early 2020. I realized that there was a Gamecom port of one of my favorite games, which is Resident Evil 2, and I was just fascinated by the fact that this even existed.
Yeah.
Like, I had no idea that there was a Gamecom port for it,
Sure.
and I got it on eBay back then for like $20. And it's still sealed. I never opened it because I didn't intend to open it because I'm just like, whatever. It's just kind of a cool display piece.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For $20. Which that ended up being a good investment because it's worth a lot more than that now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of my history. I have really, just to put some time on this console too, 1997. Like I have memories of going to Target with my sister who passed away in 2000 and her buying me clearance Gamecom games because they were on clearance then. I don't have many of my old games. I only had Wheel of Fortune and Henry still, but I remember her buying me Jurassic Park, which I still have the manual for some reason. Yeah. And Quiz Whiz, I think. It's the quiz game that was on the console. Yeah. Anyway, which, that is just like goes to show how long ago this was. Yeah. Because that's been a long time ago. 97, that's almost 30 years ago, But yeah, so now we've talked about the console, we talked about some of our history with it, the background of Tiger. Now we're going to talk about some of the games. talk about all the games at least, because this is still a collector's edition episode, and in these, obviously, we like to talk about like the rare and valuable games on the console.
Yep.
And there's not a lot of like research you can do on this because the library is only 19 games large.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like they had other games planned that never came out.
And
But-
the gameplay experience for most of these games is super shallow and one note. Like literally, you click a button and that's the one thing you do.
Yeah. And I think I mentioned in one of the reviews that they said like that action games just don't play well on it, but it does better with like static games.
Yeah.
And that's true. Like I had Jurassic Park and I remember hating it. I remember like really wanting to like it because of course it was a game and I wanted to play it, but not being any good at it at all, not being able to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then I think we both had Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
And that game was at least okay.
Yeah.
Like it had some variety to it. You could pick Batman or Robin and they had different weapons that you could equip to them and stuff.
Yep.
But still very, very basic in its controls.
Yeah.
And before we started recording, I had James play the Sonic game on here, Sonic Jam.
Yep.
That game ain't good.
It's painful. It hurts.
It moves. It's the slowest moving Sonic game probably of all time.
That's what everyone asked for, to slow their Sonic game down.
Yeah. You know how fast Sonic is? We want him slow now.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, like we said, the static games work well. Wheel of Fortune, it works like Wheel of Fortune. You can play it up to 3 player. You pass it around. You make a guess. It doesn't need a ton of technology, so it works okay because of that.
Yeah, I feel like that's the majority of the titles essentially, right? Like is like the game shows and or puzzlers, like really basic puzzlers,
Yeah.
like things that did play okay
Board
on this
games.
console. They didn't they're not demanding a lot of the console.
Exactly. So like we said, like neither of us played a lot on this console. I watched some videos to see gameplay and stuff, and I will say, not that I'm looking to buy more for this because I'm probably not going to play much of it, but there are 2 games on it that actually look like they play pretty well and look like good, decent versions of these games. There's no reason to play them on the Gamecom other than instead of other consoles, but I'm still, I don't know. I kind of like when things actually work the way they're
Can I
supposed
guess
to.
the ones you're thinking?
Sure, go ahead.
What was one Frogger?
Yeah.
That was one where I was like, oh, this looks actually okay. Like
It actually looks like it moves and plays well.
Yeah, like you could convince me that was like a Game Boy game or something.
Yeah,
You know?
it looks closest to a Game Boy game.
The other one I would guess is, I don't honestly know. Was it Duke Nukem?
Absolutely not. Monopoly.
Okay. Monopoly. Oh yeah, Monopoly. Yeah. That makes sense.
Okay, so we'll do the top 10, and we're not going to spend too terribly much time on most of these unless we had something we wanted to say about it. But like I said, there's only 19 games on the console. So I'm going to mention the 9 games that did not break into the top 10 most valuable games on the console.
Yes.
So the cheapest of the bunch is Scrabble.
Scrabble.
Which apparently it looks like a very odd version of Scrabble.
Yeah.
Tiger Casino is the next one. So just
Collection of casino games.
exactly
Yeah.
poker, roulette, all that kind of basic slots and stuff. Williams Arcade Classics. So Joust, Sinister, a couple others. Apparently they
Yeah.
all play like absolute trash.
Yeah, that's what I saw too.
Indy 500. Which,
So a little F1 love
there
there.
you go. Hey, you got to get this now, buddy.
All right.
Apparently this game plays like absolute trash.
Yeah.
Like,
it looked bad.
Yeah,
it looked really bad.
It looks bad. It plays bad, apparently. Wheel of Fortune, which is only $10, and if for
Yeah.
whatever reason you wanted a Gamecom and a decent game to play on it, this would be the cheapest and probably best game to play at that price range.
Game shows are right up my alley. So that's a game I would have played on the Gamecom.
You probably had it.
Yeah, I probably did.
Next is Fighters Mega Mix, which I believe is a spinoff from the Virtual Fighter series. This apparently is absolutely horrendous. Centipede, the early 80s, late 70s arcade game. Apparently this is an absolute trash port of the game, which how 15 years after the game came out you make a trash port is beyond me.
Yeah,
But,
that's insane.
Lost World Jurassic Park, like we mentioned. I had this one. I loved Jurassic Park as a kid. I loved this movie like more than any child probably should have. I don't know. I thought this movie was the coolest thing ever.
I remember loving Lost World too.
I loved this movie, but this game was not good.
Yeah.
Quiz Whiz, Cyber Trivia. This one is another one that works perfectly fine because it's just trivia.
It's like multiple choice,
multiple
basically.
choice trivia, but
Very basic.
unless you're looking to do like 80s and 90s trivia, there's probably no reason to get this. And then the last one before we get to the top 10 is Jeopardy.
Hey.
Never had it, but I'd assume this would be a good one to play on here too.
It probably works okay, you'd think.
I would think, yeah. All right, so now we're getting into the good stuff.
Cream of the crop. The cream of the crap.
The meat and potato. Yeah, cream of the crap is right. All right, James, we'll just go. We'll just go back and forth.
Okay, that's fine. You want to go first? Want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay, so you said, wait, was Jeopardy
Jeopardy was
11?
Jeopardy's 11.
Okay, so I'm out of order then. So, you go ahead.
Actually, in theory, you might be right. Because in theory, one of these games, I left it on this list, but one of the top 10 on price charting, I don't believe is actually supposed to be on here, and we'll talk about that when we get there.
All right.
So you can go ahead and start. Just do Henry first.
Okay, so yeah. So number 10 then would be a game called Henry. Why is it called Henry? I do not know. Chris has a copy of it. I played it right before we started recording.
And you know even less of why it's called Henry.
I'm even more confused after having played it. It is like a matching game where you click on tiles and you try to match one tile that has identical pictures and or sound bites to another, but like the two get mixed and confused, and like there's also like there's like cues on the right where it's like try to find this matching audio, and it's like a really weird and confusing version of Old Maid in a video game, but it's called Henry. And I don't know why it's called Henry. I still want to know why it's called Henry. Did a guy named Henry make it? Does the guy have a kid named Henry and he was trying to honor him with this very poor game? I don't know.
Here's the introduction, because I have the manual for it here. Because, I don't know. Apparently, I kept all these manuals. The introduction for Henry. The new kid making the rounds on the electronic circuit is Henry. Henry is the cool sound and memory matching game that's fun to play but difficult to master. We recommend that you read through the entire manual before you start.
Yeah.
Hear what I'm saying?
I would too, because it's confusing.
Yeah, I had no idea what we were supposed to do.
That was really hard to understand. But, I mean, it is kind of entertaining. The sound bites are really kind of funny, and
yeah, and they sound good.
they sound pretty okay.
It sounds like a cow. If it's supposed to be a cow sound, it sounds like a cow. Like for what it is, it sounds good. It's not as good as anything today.
Like there's one soundbite where this guy's like, "Good show, son," or something like that, and you're like, "What do you mean? What
was a good show?
What was a good show?
What did I do?
How did I make a good show?" I don't know. It's very weird. Henry, I don't understand it, and I never will.
He says that now.
But CIB, $28.50.
Yeah. See, well, this is easily the most expensive top 10 list that we've ever done.
Yes.
Yeah, most of these games are dirt cheap. So number 9, Batman and Robin.
Yep.
Like we talked about a little bit, based off of the widely acclaimed movie Batman and Robin from 1997.
Yep.
With Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze.
Arguably the worst Batman movie, and that even so, it's probably a billion times better than this game.
Hey, it's out of all the games,
it's playable.
It's the only action game. Like I've never played the Resident Evil one. I've never played Duke Nukem, but I would say it's probably the only action game that is okay.
Yeah, like I will say, like, it's pretty intuitive. It's clear what you're doing. Like you said, it's a very like simple kind of like platformy beat 'em up. Like I like that there was a grappling hook or whatever that you kind of like shoot up to higher platforms. Like that was kind of cool that there was something like a special feature weapon that you could use that wasn't just punching the guys that are right in front of you.
Yeah.
Or kicking them.
It actually had a little bit of depth for a Gamecom game.
And it had like a really like a cheap rip-off sounding version of the theme song from Batman and Robin.
It did.
Do you recognize it?
Yeah, they tried.
Yeah.
They really tried with this one, and it actually shows that they tried.
Yeah.
But to middling success.
Oh, and the howl of pain that Batman makes when he gets hurt is really funny. I don't know if you heard that.
What is it?
I had no. It sounds like he's on the toilet like suffering.
It hurts. Oh man. So yeah,
funny,
Batman
though.
and Robin number 9, $30 CIB. Not expensive.
So next up would be MK trilogy.
Yeah.
All right. So number 8 is the Mortal Kombat trilogy. Don't have a whole lot to say about this. Looks like a fighting game would kind of look, in grayscale on the Gamecom. Not pretty, kind of hard to see, which is basically all the Gamecom games. But I know they missed out on some of the most famous Mortal Kombat characters like Sub-Zero and Scorpion, which that seems like a miss.
But it does have the voice thing to say finish him, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's something.
I read somewhere that some of the fatalities, like you'll trigger them and nothing will still happen.
Yeah. Yes. That's how fatal it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like fighting games were not the game for the Gamecom.
I don't think so.
No. Looked really bad. And everything I read about it said it was really bad.
Yeah.
So how much is it?
Oh, my bad. $31.99 CIB.
Yeah. Another cheap one.
Mm-hmm.
The next one, though, is when things start to get a little more pricey.
And interesting, honestly.
Yeah. The rest of this list is at least somewhat interesting. Actually, all these games are at least a little interesting. Other than
I
Henry.
agree.
Henry's weird. But number 7 is Duke Nukem. So Duke Nukem was a big game in the 90s. You know, interestingly started as a platformer on old PCs and then became a first-person shooter. You know, after the success of Doom and I'd assume Quake as well.
Would it be the original FPS? Basically, I mean, it's got to be.
No, Doom. I think Doom is the original.
Doom. Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, so popular, kind of edgy first-person shooter game. I mean, I know that he was known for his like, I'm gonna kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Yeah, the shades and everything.
Yeah, he was big, muscly, that cool buzz, like flat top hair. I don't know how to explain it. Smoking a cigar, lady on each arm. He was everything that you wanted to be in the 90s. Yeah, this game's probably at the very least, maybe this game's better than Duke Nukem Forever. I don't know. I hear that game sucks.
Yeah.
But the problem is it is a first-person shooter, okay? And maybe that would be fun, except for the fact that you can't move backwards in this game. From what I have, like I said, I haven't played it, but from what I gathered, watching it and listening to people talk about it, you can only move left and right and forward.
And like when you move, it's like one massive frame at a time. So it's not smooth by any means. So it's basically like you're only looking forward in an FPS.
You're always looking forward. If you miss something, good luck.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how you get back to get it. Everything dies in one shot, from what I heard.
Even if it doesn't look like it's in front of you.
Yeah. It's just like, it's super broken. But I will say this. Looking at, I think we both did watch like at least some gameplay video of every game. I do feel like this might be the best looking
I agree.
game.
I agree entirely. Like I to me, like you look at it and it looked just like I imagine a Duke Nukem 3D game would look.
Yeah, it actually looked just without the color, but what you were looking at, I could make sense of it.
Yeah, like I think some genuine effort went into the presentation of this game.
Yeah, but they did not know how to make it fun to play.
Yeah,
and honestly, when you play with the Gamecom, the analogs, it's like it's not an analog stick; it's a D-pad, but it has like the movement of an analog stick almost. It almost makes it feel like they could have tried to make it maybe a little bit more fluid. Yeah, but maybe the Gamecom just truly couldn't support that level of like frame rate movement or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have much to say about it because I haven't played it. But from what I watched, like we said, probably the best looking of the games. Some of the best sound bites of any of the games.
Yeah.
But not a good game.
It was they tried, but it was a bad try.
But it was still a Gamecom game. And complete in box, it goes for about $50.
Yep. So is it number 5 we're on now? 4?
6.
6. My bad. This is one I'm glad I get to mention it. Frogger. I have an appreciation for Frogger.
I do too.
We talked about this. This is one of the few games on the Gamecom that actually looks and runs like every Frogger game I feel like I've seen before.
Yeah, with the little cutscenes and everything.
Yeah.
Like, they actually seem to try to make this random port of Frogger be good.
Like, I'm kind of sad I didn't have Frogger on the Gamecom as one of the 3 games that I had on Gamecom.
Yeah, maybe we would have won that t-shirt at Dorky's.
Yes. I've made some... I mean... You're not going to challenge me to a lot of arcade... If you challenge me to basically most arcade games, you're probably going to beat me. But at Frogger, I have a pretty good shot against you. That's all I can say.
It's at least 50-50.
Yeah. Frogger's a good game. And I don't know. I wouldn't say it's like great probably on Gamecom, but it's Frogger.
Yeah. There's not much reason to own this version of Frogger over any other version.
We're just saying it looks like Frogger. It probably runs like Frogger.
Yeah, as far as Gamecom games though,
yeah,
this one actually looks like it played pretty well.
Yeah, by Gamecom standards, good job.
Yeah. But I mean, if you don't know what Frogger is, I don't know.
Yeah.
What?
You're trying to cross a road, then you're trying to cross a pond. You're hopping along the street, then on logs till you get to this little spot. That's basically Frogger.
And you do that 5 times, and you move on to the next level.
Yeah. It's a pretty engaging and fun game. That's one of my favorite classic arcade games.
It's simple but fun.
I like it.
Yeah, no, Frogger's fun. But yeah, I have nothing else to say about Frogger.
No, that's about all you can say. Anyways, CIB Frogger was $53.95.
Yep. All right, number 5, Monopoly.
Monopoly.
So as far as gameplay goes, this is Monopoly. If you haven't played or at least heard of Monopoly at this point, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's freaking Monopoly. You move around the board, you pass go, you collect $200, you buy property, you try to run your friends out of business and out of town by owning all the properties and having all the buildings and all the hotels.
Feels like a game that would have been hard to get wrong even on the Gamecom.
Yep. And it seems, but I probably would have said that about Centipede
Yeah,
too.
yeah, that's true. That's fair.
But it does seem like they did not get this wrong. It seems like they actually got it right because it looks like you have the different pieces to pick from. When you move around the board, it actually looks like they did a good job with like the movement animations.
Yeah.
There will be different animations that pop up in the middle of the screen for different places you land on, different cards you pull.
Yeah.
It looks like they actually put effort into this, which is genuinely more than you can say for most games on the Gamecom.
For sure.
I mean, freak, it's Monopoly. like
That's most of the things that run okay / well on the Gamecom, they're probably already things you have access to in your house prior to buying a Gamecom, right? Like you probably already had 1 or 2 copies of Monopoly in your house at the time. You probably had a TV that you could watch Wheel of Fortune on, for example.
But you're not playing.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know.
And at this point, too, Monopoly was on like everything. You could get it on NES, Super Nintendo, probably Game Boy, Genesis. Monopoly's gotten a game on every console.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, keep in mind, we're just going over this stuff for fun. We do not expect anybody to go out there and buy a Gamecom and buy any of these games.
In fact, I'd encourage you not to.
Unless you're a weird, stupid collector like me that
Yes.
just likes to have this stuff, there is no reason to, because you will play better versions of any of these games elsewhere. But yeah, Monopoly, $75. It is one of the more expensive games on the Gamecom. We're getting
there.
We're getting higher. We're almost in triple digits, boys and girls. All right, James, go on.
Number 4?
Yep.
Okay. I mean, I don't feel qualified to talk about this. Resident Evil 2. CIB, $79.99. Chris has got a very, very nice looking copy of it, as he mentioned right there. Like brand new in that impossible to open plastic wrapping that games were in back in the day.
The little hang tabs.
Like you it literally looked like you just pulled that off the shelf in Toys R Us or something.
Yeah, this thing is clean.
Yeah, very clean. Like it looks great. Like you said, very good display piece. I watched a couple different videos on people playing this, and it just seemed like the controls were just ridiculously hard to comprehend. Like everyone on the very first try, nobody succeeded. There's a whatever, not a zombie, but like a guy coming to you very, very slowly on the screen, and no matter what you do,
I'd assume it was a zombie.
basically you get eaten immediately, no matter what you do.
He got me.
And so there's like a trial and error process that not everybody really had the patience to deal with to play this game. But from what I understood, they actually put some decent effort into making this an actual game, even if it was a really like very scaled down version of Resident Evil 2.
Extremely scaled down.
Yeah.
It's a neat little like piece of collectability for fans of the series.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think it's a really cool collector's item for somebody who loves Resident Evil.
But yeah, there's just it doesn't seem like there's a lot of depth to it. I don't even know if you can pick from both characters like you can in the base game. It looks like you just play as Leon.
Yeah.
But yeah, lock and load and be prepared for anything. Deadly force will be required. This is a one-player game. So on the back.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't think any of these games were more than
even if they said they were 2-player games, probably didn't work very well.
I did look. I was like, was there a link cable? Like, were any of these games something where you could like link up? Yeah, there wasn't. Like, they may have thought about doing it, but
yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, in their defense, did we even have a link cable on the Game Boy yet? That would have been next year, right?
Oh yeah, the link cable came out with Dr. Mario.
Did it really?
Yeah, it was out years and years.
I gotta check my history out there.
There was a ton of games that supported the link cable.
Oh dang, I had no idea. All right.
Yeah, that was a big thing. Like,
well, then Gamecom kind of sucked again.
Pokemon just made the link cable a popular, like everyday accessory.
Yeah, like it was in everyone's consciousness at that point.
I don't think anybody had it before that.
Yeah.
All right, so Resident Evil was how much?
Oh, Resident Evil $79.99.
Alrighty. Next, Sonic Jam. So this is a nice little collection. So at about the same time that this came out, Sonic Jam came out in the Sega Saturn. And Sonic Jam is a collection of the first 3 Sonic games on the Saturn. It's just a straight port of those games, but on the Saturn it has a neat 3D overworld. The first time Sonic was ever presented in 3D.
Yeah.
You could actually move around the overworld and like just kind of play around, but it wasn't a full game as 3D Sonic. But it was cool because, like I said, first time you could move and play as Sonic in 3D.
Yeah.
But then very accurate ports of those 3 Sonic games. Plus, I believe those came with, maybe it was even 4. Actually, I don't know. I'm going to stop talking there because I've never played it. But yeah, the first 3 Sonic games at the very least.
Yeah.
Sonic Jam on the Gamecom has Sonic 1, 2, and 3 on it as well. But they are not the full versions of the game. They are like 2 levels each. And this game moves, like James said earlier,
at a snail's pace.
It moves so slow. It is near impossible. It looks okay. Like the sprites, at least you know what you're looking at. Like I'll give it that. Like you play a Sonic, Tails, or Knuckles, and you look like Sonic, Tails, or Knuckles.
Like if you don't get momentum going in this game, which by the way, very hard to develop momentum in this game. Like there's like uphill portions, and you literally slow to like less than a crawl.
Yeah,
trying to go uphill with Sonic and or Knuckles or Tails.
It's-
Which you got to choose your character, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, you at least get to do that. But otherwise, it's just not a good version of these games.
No.
I imagine it's as expensive as it is because it's Sonic, and there's a lot of Sonic collectors
That makes
out
sense.
there.
Yep.
But yeah, like I have this game loose because this is one of the games that came in that Gamecom bundle I bought last year. And I was pretty excited to have it because I actually wanted to play it. But then when I played it for a few minutes, I was like, "Oy, it's not good."
Yeah.
But I have the cartridge and the manual, so that's kind of cool.
Very nice.
But yeah, Sonic Jam on the Gamecom is $90.
Yep.
I'm gonna go over the next one real quick.
Yeah, because I don't have the info on it anyway.
So the next, according to price charting, which as we all know is not always correct on things like this, but the next highest game according to price charting is Lights Out. It says that Lights Out has a complete in-box version, but I thoroughly believe that to be incorrect. I did some background research just to make sure. I can't find any proof that there was a complete in-box version of Lights Out that ever released. Lights Out was the pack-in game that came with the console when you bought a Gamecom in the 90s.
Did it even have its own cartridge? Did you plug it into one of the two
cartridge? It has a
cartridge?
cartridge.
Okay.
Yeah. And like I have the manual here for it still.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to the cartridge.
I just know we bought a Gamecom brand new. I do not remember a box for Lights Out. I remember that's one of the few games I remember playing because it was the packing game.
It
I don't remember.
Did
a
not
box.
come with one.
It didn't feel like a standalone CIB game. You know?
I'm 99% sure it didn't come with one. And
so why is it listed on price charting?
So I looked at each price charting listing that has listed as sold as complete in box. Every one of those listings is a console that came with had the game with it. So it's just inaccurate listings on price charting. There is no, I mean, I can't say this with 100% certainty, but it seems like there is no version of Lights Out that came out that released separately from coming with the console that was in a box. So I think you can only get this game loose with the manual. I don't believe this listing is accurate. And in that case, the game itself is only worth like $8.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But according to price charting, this is a $110 game complete in box. But
for some reason,
I'm 99% sure that is incorrect, and it did not come
Yeah.
complete in box like that. And it just has wrong listings there.
One of the few games, though, that I do remember playing because everyone had it. If you bought a Gamecom new, even probably if you bought it used too, you had a pretty good shot at having it with it. It was a pretty rudimentary like puzzler where like there's all these tiles on the screen, and you basically some are black, some are white, but you're trying to put all the as the title says, you're trying to turn off all the lights. And when you click on a tile, if it's like white, for example, all the adjacent tiles will turn black, and so it was confusing trying to understand how exactly the tiles would flip, but you basically are just trying to get all of them black.
Yep. You're just trying to get all the lights to turn off.
Yeah.
It was, I believe, a popular little handheld device that you could buy.
So it was one of the like LCD
It was
games.
already a Tiger handheld, but instead
Yeah.
of being LCD, it was like little pushable buttons that did the same thing. That when
Okay.
you push it, it would send the lights off and different. And
Yeah.
you just had to, like you said, you just had to figure out how to get all the lights off.
Yeah. Like repetitive, but like not bad, I would say.
Yeah, it was okay. It was a good packing game because it probably made you think that the console would at least have some level of creativity.
And it used the stylus. You used the stylus for it.
Yep.
One of the few games that actually use the stylus.
Yeah, because not many do other than Wheel of Fortune, I think. Maybe Jeopardy too.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely have lights out memories, but not a lot of them. Who would?
Yeah. I mean, how many hours did you spend playing Lights Out?
I probably went straight to Batman Robin after playing this for like 5 minutes.
Well, that was fun. But the nice thing is, you didn't have to take the cartridge out.
No, okay, and I will say that is my favorite part of the Gamecom. Like they spent money and real estate, literal space on the console to make it so you could have 2 cartridges in at the same time, which I really appreciate. I kind of wish the Switch had something like that. It reminds me of the DS when you could put in a Game Boy Advance and a regular like Game Boy game at the same time, or whatever.
Or DS and a
Game Boy game at the same time.
Yeah.
I love having that versatility, being able to switch between 2 games. Like that would be great if the Switch 2 has something like that. It won't, but
it'd be great.
It'd be great. So good job, Tiger, on that.
You're ahead of the curve on that
Good
one,
job,
Tiger.
guys. You did it.
They knew what people would want. They knew people wanted a touchscreen. They just beat Nintendo to that punch.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. First one to do it, just not well.
Yeah. No. All right, James, why don't you take us home with the most expensive Gamecom game?
Drum roll. This was the first sequel and only sequel on the console. Wheel of Fortune 2.
Let's go.
Yeah.
You thought Wheel of Fortune 1 was good.
Apparently Wheel of Fortune 1, by some accounts, is one of, if not the best games, most playable games on the Gamecom, but which makes sense why it would have warranted a sequel. I did not play this. You have this, right? You said?
Yeah.
You have the cartridge?
This also came with that bundle.
Oh, see, that's pretty sweet. Yeah. So CIB, it's pretty expensive. CIB, it's $273.
Yeah. It's so
why did they have to make a sequel? I wonder. Just more puzzles, more.
Maybe they couldn't fit it all on one cartridge, so they made a sequel to it.
Basically a DLC to some degree, probably.
Yeah. So from what I've gathered, it seemed like for at least a little while, when people started getting into the game comes back, like history and game catalog, which was probably only a few people and for a short period of time, there was so few copies of this out there that they couldn't even, or there was so little information about it out there, they couldn't even figure out if it existed. And it didn't help that, like, Tiger, I'll actually get into this in a second. Tiger had announced plenty of games for the console that never came to fruition.
Yeah.
So I think there was a short period of time where people were like, it doesn't actually exist. But then they started popping up. And long story short, it is rare. Like, if you go on eBay right now, there's, I think, 2 new copies, 1 copy of the game with the manual and 1 copy loose.
Yeah.
And a couple sold. Like, there's not a lot of the copies of this game out there. It's very uncommon.
Yeah.
Which kind of explains the price a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have played this. But what year did it come out again? Wheel of Fortune 2? Was it like the very end of the life cycle? Was it 2000 by that point?
I have the manual here. It says 1997. So I don't know.
That is very confusing.
Maybe I don't have any idea, dude.
Well, the lifespan of the console was 97 to 2000, right?
Yeah, but
3 years.
I don't think they released many games in that.
Yeah, because like the majority,
they released 19 games in 3 years, and only thing I can assume is, I bet you anything, it was a game earlier in the cycle and it just was a small print run, because the later print run games came in a different kind of different kind of plastic casing, and they were like rounded.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so like Frogger, Monopoly, Scrabble. Maybe another one too. Those 3 all have that different box type.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Weird stuff.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
How much is it? How much did you say it was?
$273 CIB. So new. I wonder what that number is. I didn't write it down, but
it's like $300-$400. I have the price charting pulled up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, $350.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was when I looked at that bundle on eBay. I saw this game in there. I saw that it had the manual for it too, and I was like, this is an expensive game, like Gamecom game. Like for $50, this is if I chose to sell it all, it's a deal. Like,
yeah.
But I mean, I just kind of the little bit of nostalgia I have for it.
Oh yeah.
I was just like, it's kind of cool.
We definitely have some nostalgia for it. Like I almost went home to see if my parents still had this, though I'm fairly confident this is something my mom would have sold like in a garage sale.
Yeah.
Or even I would have traded it in for something else because I was like, this is not.
She would have been like, I never heard
nobody
talk about this.
This is as advertised. It was not exactly the ultimate portable gaming system.
Yeah, not at all. So that's the top 10. Not the most exciting top 10 we've ever done. It's actually only the top 9.
But very interesting.
But a very interesting console. I'm not going to give the prices, but again, because I just don't feel like it. But the top 10 were Henry, Batman and Robin, Mortal Kombat, Duke Nukem, Frogger, Monopoly, Resident Evil, Sonic Jam, and Wheel of Fortune 2, which was the king there at $275. So
none very good.
No, just okay at best. The few that are. So just to conclude it here, I have the little. It's Gamecom. It's not a manual, but it's like a little like
a brochure,
and it's advertising some of the other stuff that was coming out.
Oh, I love these.
They were trying to sell things, and this is how into the Gamecom I was. I went through here and circled or X'd
all the ones you're gonna get,
the ones I wanted or what I wasn't gonna get. I circled the internet cartridge in Batman and Robin, but you better believe I X'd out Duke Nukem. Good Christian boy, I ain't playing that.
Nope, too violent.
But yeah, it's kind of funny. But you look through here. So the cartridges I see now were about $20 to $30 when they launched.
Yeah.
The internet cartridge is only going to be $20. Batman and Robin was $30 though. It was more pricey.
Yeah.
A lot of these did come out, but then you get to the page with Jeopardy on it, and Name That Tune is on there. That game never came out.
Never made it. Indy 500 did happen.
Yep.
Oh,
NBA Hang Time.
There could have been a Gamecom game with the Sonics on it. Now I'm sad.
Now he's a sad panda.
Rip.
No NBA Hang Time. No Madden Football 98.
Ah, man.
What could have been?
What horrors could have happened?
Yeah. And that's it. Just those 4 games.
NBA Hang Time. I'm a little disappointed about that, honestly.
Because you would have bought it.
I would have bought that.
And you would have played
Now I would have bought that.
You could have got the Gamecom branded headphones.
Yeah.
Or the Gamecom branded carrying case.
Oh, boy.
Or heck, the Gamecom branded modem.
Oh, boy. To send 5-word emails via text.
Yeah, exactly. And they obviously expected to play multiplayer head-to-head because they had advertised in here a head-to-head cable. It's only going to be $15, but never happened. I don't know if you want to look through that.
What could have been.
I just thought that was kind of cool.
That's funny.
Funny little piece of history. But yeah, after we do these episodes, usually it's like, oh man, I really want to keep my eye out for that game, or like I really like, guys, watch out for this one. Like this game is gonna pop off in the future. We don't have nothing to say.
Yeah.
The Tiger Gamecom is a neat piece of history. It's fun to look back at why it failed. Like, because we have memories with it, it's fun to kind of revisit those memories a little bit. But as far as failed consoles go,
it's one of the worst.
It is pretty bad. and like you look on the internet, you go to YouTube, you look up the Tiger Gamecom, all you're going to see is people talking about how it's bad.
Yeah.
And I would 100% agree. If I was somebody today, I picked this up with zero nostalgia for it whatsoever, I'd be like, why would I play this? Like, I still have like this attachment to anything video game related, defunct, crappy or not. Like it still impresses me when something like this exists.
Yeah.
But it isn't good. That's just all there is to it. It's just okay.
And I mean, like, that is the most you could say of most Tiger produced
yeah,
like at least games and or video game like toys, I guess.
Yep. But I respect the hustle.
Hey man, I mean they did have some successes, right? Like Tiger released Furby. They released some like toys that were actually
Digimon, or not Digimon, Gigapets.
Yeah, Gigapet. Yeah, like
the Tamagotchi.
They had some they had some successes for sure. They had some swings and misses for sure as well. I mean, you probably already know this, but as I was looking up like lists, because I was like, this was obviously a case of one of the worst console failures ever. But like, I looked up lists, and this was not Tiger's last swing and miss in terms of console. Like, are you familiar with the Gizmondo at all?
Oh. I didn't even know that was Tiger. I've heard of the Gizmondo.
I'm pretty sure it was Tiger, dude.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Maybe we cover that some other time, or you just talk about it briefly. But yeah, like they before they faded away into obscurity, they didn't. This was not the end for them. They tried.
I had to try one more time.
They tried more.
Guys, we're about to go bankrupt. Hail Mary.
Yeah.
What are we gonna throw out there?
Oh, boy.
Gizmondo. Yeah, Tiger was an interesting company, but yeah, they, like James said, they didn't really ever do much of note. But yeah, it's a fun system. I like talking about stuff like this. Hopefully you weren't too tragically bored this whole time. But Heck, if anybody out there listens to this episode and you have some memory with the Gamecom, I would love to hear it. Whether it be you remember seeing the commercials and being like, wow, why would I ever want to own that? I'd like to hear that. I'd like to know that people remember this thing.
It still just boggles my mind that it came out. It was out the same time the Nintendo 64 and the PlayStation was out, and trying to compete with something that was so old at that point.
Yeah.
It's just so crazy to me.
It was just... Yeah, they had
But that was like their MO,
Yeah.
like chasing old Nintendo success.
chasing old ideas.
Yeah.
And like we've said, they had some good ideas, but they weren't enough to elevate this past the mediocrity that it was.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's just funny that we both owned one.
Yeah,
And-
it is. Yeah. And then
I-
a year later, we played something we liked a lot more than this.
R.I.P. Gamecom.
Yeah.
Heck, I own 2 now. That's how cool I am.
I got to go see if I have one still.
You don't.
Yeah, probably not.
And you'll forget by the time you get home.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know. For the next episode, next Collector's Edition episode, I don't know what we're going to do, but I want to do more consoles in the future. I want to do some more top 10s and then our top 5 favorite games for different generations of consoles like we did for 64. I think that's a fun episode type.
Yeah.
But yeah, in conclusion, you got anything else, James?
No, just we're about to learn a lot more about the Switch 2 pretty soon.
Yep. So you'll be hearing from us all in approximately 2 weeks with our thoughts on the Switch 2 Direct that's going to pop off here on April 2nd. So we're pretty close, man.
I'm excited.
Me too.
It's an exciting year.
It's these kinds of reveals are always fun. It's all of the what ifs, the what's going to happen, what could they reveal, what games could we play?
Yeah. Will it be better than the Gamecom?
Oh, high hopes. I don't know, man. Well, thank you for joining me. Thanks for helping me get the podcast back off the ground after a 3-month hiatus.
It's always fun.
And yeah, and if you haven't done so, please make sure to like and rate the podcast wherever you listen to it. And I do ask that you please check out my YouTube channel. I'm trying really hard to put out content there. Jaden's trying really hard to make my content watchable by making it awesome with his editing.
He's doing a good job.
Yeah, he sure is. So any subscribers we can get, any comments, any likes, it's much appreciated. Definitely. And I try to respond to all the comments too. I haven't figured out how to respond to negative comments yet because I don't want to be negative in return. But anyway, sometimes I just leave it be.
As
now.
a rule, I don't engage.
No,
Maybe.
It's like I'm like I don't know how to respond to
Because
you
they're always there.
because it doesn't like upset me. I'm like, what? That's just a bad take, but whatever.
As somebody who likes to argue with people and it never results in anything good, just don't.
Maybe I'll make you the official commenter for negative.
I'll engage these morons.
Yeah.
I'm a moron myself.
Hey,
No.
idiot, get out of here. All right. Well, thanks again, man. I appreciate it.
It was fun.
It was. And I appreciate everybody for listening. Genuinely, this is a lot of fun, but sometimes I have trouble staying dedicated. But knowing that everybody likes to listen and support it makes it easier to keep going. So thank you, everybody. And remember, if you haven't already done so, follow me on social media. And remember to always press X to continue.